We're live.
Yay! We made it. Hey, Jules, how you doing? Oh, I see he posted that a while ago.
We were, what, a couple minutes late? We might have been actually a little later because this computer seems to be behind.
Yeah.
Although the clock upstairs was right, so we might have been okay.
Yeah, might not have been too bad. Now I feel very bright. We've got a lot of thingies going.
Good lighting.
And I hear a kid creeping down.
There. We're going to take a pill.
Oh, right. Sorry. You're going to carry us for 1 second. You're going to be the man of the show for a minute.
It's just me for a moment. We're still getting kids to bed. That's the other thing about longer days is the kids don't necessarily go to bed on time. But we're good. We're good tonight. We I don't know, we're starting to, just because of the way everything is, we're almost starting to use these lives as kind of like the end of your week. Look back on all the stuff that we did and all that sort of stuff. But how are you tonight? Oh, sorry, you may have a bit of a lag. I'm not sure. Definitely have to invest in a new webcam at some point because I'm not sure how pixely we look. It looks pixely on this small computer screen, but hopefully we're not too bad. Hello, Chris. How's it going?
Let's see if I can get in here again.
Can you go into that computer and just open it up and
see how pixely it looks?
Well, I'm also curious because it keeps telling me there's nobody in here, but then people keep commenting, so.
Huh.
Hopefully
it's running all right.
The joys of StreamYard.
Well, let me just, sorry, 1 second. Hey, Remy. Or did you already say hi? Sorry, we're having a moment here, seeing if this is working.
Making sure our technical stuff's working. Oh, no problem at all about the on and off. I don't know.
Oh, sorry, there we go.
No, so it's working.
That doesn't look too bad.
Yeah. Yeah, our video on here is not fantastic. I'm just going to quickly block everybody out. See my finger? I don't think that helped.
No, it didn't help.
Didn't help at all. Maybe it made it worse.
Now it's got bad fingerprints and bad whatever.
That's better. Well, that's quite a bit better, I think. You've got a lag there.
I don't know. Let's see. Hang on. Okay, that doesn't look bad. Okay, we'll let it go.
Cleaned it up.
Okay, I'm gonna shut this one down.
Glad the sound's good. That's
we know we need to get
I'm always quiet, so
there, it's a bit better.
So they were just dirty. Dirty.
Clean the lens. Yeah.
Lens.
Oh, we need to get even if it's just an inexpensive webcam, we should get one.
Mm-hmm.
We just haven't gotten there yet. And it's one of those things you start looking online and you go, well, I don't want to waste my money on whatever. And then you start looking and there's a list a gazillion miles long of all the different ones and what people use. And
just want a good one.
But yeah. But if the sound is good, that's all that really is important at this point, I suppose.
So everybody can hear us talking.
Yeah, as long as they can hear us, that's what counts. So, yeah, that would have been a little odd. Oh boy! Funny. So, how is everybody doing tonight?
Yeah, how's everybody's week? Well, I guess the week's technically just begun, but
yes, yeah.
Like I say, Tuesday always kind of feels like the end of our week. I don't know.
Yeah.
New schedule.
Well, we kind of operate, yeah. We operate Monday to Sunday, and then Monday's sort of that day. And then Tuesday's where you kick it into gear. It was beautiful here today. We had 18 degrees Celsius. What's that? I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit. Eventually, I'm going to learn this.
Have you memorized?
Yeah. What's 18 Celsius to Fahrenheit?
Oh, that's awesome that the snow's melting there. Our snow is gone, and the frost is starting to come out of the ground pretty good. I was actually tonight when we walked back to do the horses because they're in the back pasture. When we walked back to do the horses, I took a look at our little pond, and it's got a lot more water in it.
It's still
really low.
2.5, 3 feet lower than last year, but way better than it was this spring. Like when it first
filled
started
up quick after the
melting.
The frost started to come out. It's not completely out yet, but
no, we haven't tried to dig down, but I don't think you could dig very far. The pigs were trying to dig; they didn't get too far.
They don't really get very far anymore.
No, that's true. But no, it was beautiful today with 18, and it was so tempting to get into the garden. I mean, our garlic is all coming up. It's sticking up like an inch out of the straw mulch. And tomorrow it's supposed to rain and still be 10 degrees. And then we drop below zero overnight. And the next day's only 0 is the high. And then it's quite cold Wednesday night and Thursday.
That's where it's tough because at least when you have the snow, I don't know, sometimes that helps things a little bit, but we've got nothing.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, we didn't really have the snow this year or...
No, but Chris had snow just recently.
Yeah, right during the fires. Wasn't it? You posted about the fires and
that's
oh my gosh,
crazy up and down on everything.
Yeah, but then you get that here too. I mean, you get it dry, especially if it's been so windy here, and people are burning off the dead stuff and whatever, and it's just a matter of time before something happens. But
yeah,
so far,
pretty much. I don't know. There is no transition anymore. It goes from one season to the next.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, I may have to quickly go blow my nose. Dust. Right back.
Yeah. But no, it's been a great start to the spring anyways. It's been hard to resist keeping, from getting into the garden and getting going because we know that cold's coming back. But it will, we've checked around at a few things. Hey, Wickershire Project. I always like it catches Wickershire Project. It's like when you say Worcestershire sauce. Everybody, not the same name at all, but it's like it takes the first few times you want to be like Worcestershire.
Oh, and I'm back.
I can bury a spade all over the yard. I may plant some potatoes this weekend. That's very exciting. We were talking about planting. This year we're going to try and plant more potatoes directly in the ground, but we often do them in those black Home Depot totes. Rough totes. And so we were actually thinking about starting some because we've got some real leggy potatoes, and we were going to start some in those totes in the house because then they would be ready to harvest come June and July to have over the summer. Hey, Tiffany Q.
Hello.
Rather than we've always been harvesting late, and it's like, well, barbecue season and all those things over the summer. It's really nice to have the fresh potatoes.
The new potatoes.
Yeah. So it would be really nice to get some going in the totes. So
we've got lots downstairs. That's actually one thing. They all wintered. Really.
Outside to the greenhouse this weekend, so we thought that'll free up some space in the grow room.
Yeah, well, that's something. So we had planned to get some more lights for the grow room. This is actually a good topic to chat about. We plan to get some more lights because we put up all the shelves, and we are eventually going to have.
And I mean, we only had 18 lights, so that was just
only.
Apparently, we need another 18.
By the time we went to order more, basically, like they all are.
Oh my gosh. Out. We went on Amazon and looked at the grow lights, and Cat.
Cat and what?
Cat just shook you as he jumped on the table.
I may have to put him off.
But yeah, we what was I talking about? Cat distracted me. The grow lights.
The grow lights.
Amazon. And so we went to look up the same ones that we bought. What were they? They were $139 for 6. They're the LED.
Yeah.
They were $139 for 6 4-foot grow lights that all can connect together.
And now they're sold right out.
Every 4-foot grow light was sold out completely, or they wanted ridiculous money for it. Sorry, that was the cat jumping off again. And then then we decided we'd look for the 2-foot ones. And we looked in the morning, made a decision that we were going to change the shelving all around in the grow room.
We went out and grabbed a shelf that was out by the barn.
Went and sorted things that we were going to get the grow lights. We came back in, got organized, sat down at the computer. All the 2-foot ones of this model, this brand, were all sold out. And we really liked them. They're Barina.
Barina, yeah. They're working
Anyways, moral of the story was we then decided we weren't going to go further with the grow lights because we refused to pay double what we know
right now.
Yeah.
Because
they're going to be
we're going to this weekend. We're going to finish the greenhouse.
Yeah.
So that we can use it, because as far as we know, once we get through the end of this week, we should be into temperatures that we should be able to even start some things out there.
Yeah.
Like the more cold weather crops anyways. But
anyways, that was our tangent about the grow lights. We just couldn't believe it as we went. Then we went to Home Depot to buy some stuff for the greenhouse, and people were leaving with the old fluorescent tubes grow lights, but because
even they've gone up.
Oh my gosh. And so we went to check because we thought, we still had all those fixtures, and they were so expensive per bulb. We just said, no, we're not going to do it. So
it's not worth it when we can finish the greenhouse and then buy some lights later.
Yeah. But Wickershire canning, yes, we do a lot of canning. To be honest, I have been canning out of the freezer the last 3-4 weeks now. We do a lot of pressure canning. So I've been making lamb stew. I made pea and ham soup. I think we made 12 quart jars of that, and 6 jars of the lamb stew, because we just butchered lamb, and we just butchered another one this week. So we're going to do some more this week, and maybe I'll do a video on that because I really would like to.
That's a good one.
Do the Icelandic lamb stew. What else did I make? We made.
You've got to make some tomato stuff because you still got lots of tomatoes.
I still have like 100 plus pounds of tomatoes in the freezer that I got to get going,
it's good, and we've actually been lucky because the
meat,
the pork is from our old Berkshire pigs.
We butchered them 3 years ago, so we had all these roasts that we just never. They were too big for our family.
And they're not freezer burnt or anything.
They're not. They're fantastic, and I take one. It's a 5-6 pound roast, and I take that out, and it makes. I think it makes 8 quart jars when I do the recipe with the big roast and the peas. And it's so simple. And this is a great time of year to start clearing out the freezer of all that sort of stuff.
Just in time to fill it up with more.
Exactly. I did. What else did we do? We did. I do this really, really neat, which I do want to do a video on, the pickle soup. The dill pickle soup.
That one's a good one too.
It's got spicy Italian sausage in it and dill pickles, and it's a tomato base, which was great because it used some tomatoes out of the freezer.
Yep.
And it's a really good one. I really have a lot of canning stuff that I want to do on the channel. It's just been one of those things. I've been so nervous about doing it because, it's just one of those things. Everybody's very set in how they do it. And I'm not professionally trained. I've just been canning for years. We grow our own food and we preserve it, and we haven't killed anyone. But
hi, Deborah.
Going back to the pea soup, because Tiffany Q is asking, I do green. There's something about when I make a pea soup and I make it with the yellow peas, it just doesn't look right. But saying that, this year we bought the Canadian soup pea,
French Canadian soup pea
to grow in the garden, which is yellow. We
have grown it before. We didn't get enough off of it to.
We only saved for our own to replant.
To have a bigger patch, but
yes, and the lamb Wickershire project is super good. We have Icelandic lamb. I don't know if you've ever tried it.
It's not the same as normal lamb.
It is something else.
Yep.
And yeah, we go, well, what did we just finished butchering we butchered 3 lamb this spring and 2 goats so far. And our big ram goes to the butcher next week.
Mm-hmm.
So yay, Shed Wars, we're going to be weighing in more. But Remy, yes, honestly, once you start, it's kind of, I have to admit, I'd always done the water bath canning and the easy and jams and jellies. But once I took the plunge into the pressure canning, that kind of changed it. That's addictive, that how much food you can put away.
Do you have a favorite canning book?
Probably the ball, what is it? It's a ball one. I'm going to go get it.
She's going to go get it. I can't remember exactly what it's called. Yeah, definitely agree. And that's kind of the big thing. Like, we're just kind of at that point right now where we still plan to deck the grow room out with grow lights before next fall, or late fall / winter, when we're going to really start growing in there. But we have enough to keep certain things going, like peppers and that we don't want to be putting in the greenhouse just yet. But because we have the ultimate plan between the grow room and the greenhouse, and the grow room is a little smaller, but they're not that much different in size. There's a little more room in the greenhouse, was to have them so they could complement each other. So you could, during the coldest months of the year here in like December, January, February, you wouldn't probably be, well, maybe part of December, but definitely January, February, half of December, and half of March. You really wouldn't be growing anything in the greenhouse here unless we heat it. Then when you switch to those kind of shoulder seasons, we should be able to grow some of the cooler weather crops a little earlier in the greenhouse, which will help free up some space inside to then have this whole succession of things starting in the house, throughout the year. I'm not doing a great job of explaining
what was the?
Or I was going back to the lights a little bit too.
Yeah.
But it's just a why. So we just kind of, because we were planning to get it all set up so we could just kind of go nuts on the growing in the grow room, but because we can't physically get the LED lights we want, we're gonna just kind of hold off for a bit. Eventually, we'll be able to get them because they'll be back in stock again, and then kind of go from there. But we do have it's 10 by 10, isn't it?
Greenhouse 10
by 10 greenhouse.
But with all the shelves, it's going to hold a lot. But I think when we move the kale out this weekend, that'll free up the space. We were looking at our pepper starts. I mean, we have almost 100 pepper plants and 60 eggplants that have to be transplanted to bigger pots.
Yep,
and we needed lights to grow them under. So it'll be good to get the kale kicked out, because then I think they'll all fit in their pots underneath the lights that the kale is under now. So fingers crossed. And then the sweet potatoes are all in pots as well, the slips that we started. And they're starting to take up a bit of extra space as well. So we put them in hanging pots all over the house. But we have a lot more slips that need to be planted.
Oh, we'll get that done. There's always more to do.
You know what? Summer will come quickly. That's my hope anyways. I'm going to go back to Tiffany Q for one more second. I think she means she's the one she said she knew that she followed us for a reason. I'm hoping that's on the green pea thing, because green pea is better than, I'm thinking that's what it might be on. But anyways, so are we on the cookbook for a moment? Was that Deborah that asked about that?
Yep.
So this is my go-to cookbook. Hopefully that'll show. The blue book. It's a ball. I think that means it's American, because I'm pretty sure most stuff in Canada is Bernadine. I ordered this. You ordered this for me off Amazon.
The Ball Blue Book Guide to Preserving.
Yeah, it has over 500 recipes. They're awesome. I mean, I don't think there's anything in this book that I've made that I didn't like. Some of it I've tweaked and added things that I prefer, or I've nabbed out of some other recipe that I've made. But one of the go-tos for this is not as much pressure canning. That's everything. But this one here, this is an older book. What year is this?
It's a harder one to get.
Yes, we had to find this one on Amazon.
I might have bought the last one.
I'm trying to see when it was printed. It says 1988. Yeah. So it's called Simmering Suppers. It's got like a pot thingy on it. Anyways, if anybody wants that information, I can sort out a bit more, or maybe I'll do a video on my favorite cookbook stuff. But that one is not a canning book. It's a like soups and stews that you would just make for dinner. Some of them are even slow cooker recipes, but I've just taken them and tweaked them and adapted them to then do as a pressure canning recipes. And
it works well.
Yeah, it works really, really well. I mean, we've not had any issues with it. So
transplanting radishes, that's going to be interesting. I planted a few in a little container down in the grow room, actually from watching Guten Gardening.
Yeah.
Because they're growing inside. I'm like, we'll try it. They grow quick. And I don't know. It's kind of been a bit mixed results. They're coming up and they're growing, but a lot of them didn't germinate, which was kind of funny.
The second round that you planted did better, and he planted a bunch down in the kale, and they're doing
better.
Like,
I had I took my handful of them and I planted the first batch in the pot proper, and sunk them in a little bit, and then I had like, I don't know, 5 or 6 seeds left over, and I'm like, well, the radishes, I'll just throw them down amongst the kale and see what they do. And they were just on top of the soil, and they actually were doing better.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it goes.
And our single seed challenge tomato finally made an appearance.
But we have another tomato.
But there's a second tomato growing in the same pot, so we're not really sure.
Well, we're pretty sure. I know it's the one in the middle, but we'll show that.
Yeah.
We'll show that at another point. But we'll see here.
Sound Chris. I missed the comment further up.
The
peppers in the ground and when it warms up.
Yeah.
So
trying, I think he means trying the radishes. It'll be interesting. Now, another question before we go on to the next thing. With the radishes, did you start them in the sandwich bag, Chris, or are you transplanting them, like upsizing them in pots? I'm just curious because it's.
Yeah, we did ours. Do you remember those little white porcelain kind of square? My mom used to cook in them all the time with the clear glass lid. Anyways, they have the little blue pretty pattern on the outside. That's what we planted ours in so that we had enough depth, and hopefully it's going to work. I mean,
I think it will because they kind of grow towards the top.
On the ball book.
In the ball book?
Yeah.
I think there is other ball books too.
Hi, Boone.
Hello.
I'll check, Deborah. I am going to just. There's multiple versions. This is apparently the 37th edition of it. I know it's the newer one.
Yep, Tiffany's got it. The Corningware. It was It was actually.
Yes.
So it wasn't a good one. It was one that was in the basement when we moved in, and it's not. You could clean it, but we're kind of like, it didn't have a lid, didn't have whatever. So we're like, we'll plant something in it. The previous people had left it here, it'll work. I'm sure it's a container. Whatever you've got.
I'm trying to find the date on this.
Yeah, I'm going to plant. We're going to do some radish experiments this year, I think, because to be honest with you, I've never really had a lot of luck with them. I have a friend.
2017
is the date on the ball book.
Yes.
I have a friend who he grows radishes, and I had some of his. And his radish patch was awesome, so I'm like, I'm going to give them a fair try because we've never put any sort of effort into it. It's always been well,
and I've heard roasted or something like that. I don't like them raw at all, but I've heard roasted, and we said worst case scenario, we'll feed them to the rabbits.
Well, and we're trying a few different varieties to see if there's one we like. We tried, they were white icicle radishes, which we thought were going to be good because they're pretty good size, and we did not like them, and the rabbits did not like them, so we're not probably going to grow them again. But
that's a Jack-on one.
Well, they're not real Dackons, but they're similar. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And if you can get the real Dackons,
they were spicy.
They're better.
Really spicy.
And I know radishes, when they don't get enough moisture and stuff, they go spicy.
Maybe we're just not good at growing radishes.
Well, we're going to try it again because it's one of those funny little things. Of course, we're big on things that don't cross or whatever. But yeah. Oh, it keeps jumping ahead on us, guys, so apologize. We're actually keeping up, but
yeah. Put them in a shallow tub to germinate.
So that's that's kind of what we did.
That is the one. I'll check again. Yeah, That was one that was recommended.
What's the pressure canner we got? Because it was a really good deal. It was
It's
from
the,
Home-
oh gosh, I just
It's
took
from
it
Home-
downstairs.
it-
Home Hardware. I think
Yeah.
it's a Presto.
For anybody in Canada, that was one of
It
the
was
best.
just watch for it, Remy. It's regular, I think $149, but it always goes on sale. At least here in Ontario, it always goes on sale for $109. And we bought it, and we actually are saying the next time it's on $109, we may get a second one. I just actually bought a. I guess I shouldn't say got for my birthday. A hot plate element. It's not a convection. What do you call that?
Yeah, convection.
Hot plate.
Induction
Hot plate, so that I can do I could do a second pressure canning, because I can't do 2 of them on my stove at a time. So anyway, exciting. Oh, you've got a cat. Only one.
I really have a cat.
So Chris is the only one that eats radishes.
See, I don't mind them if they're not too
like
spicy.
I say, if someone wants to vouch for this, I have heard roasted. They're very good. So we are going to give it a shot. We'll
have to check out the mini composter for sure. I haven't seen that. I don't think that video might have come up. We haven't really been. We have been kind of falling behind.
Oh gosh,
keeping up with people.
I have to admit this, and this is our first year in Shed Wars. Because I'm assuming this was their a Shed Wars video. I'm guessing maybe it wasn't.
Maybe not,
I don't know.
But we'll definitely check.
We've been having like the battle, just trying to keep up with Shed Wars videos. Never mind watching everybody else. It's been crazy. For light sandy loam. Well, we got that.
That's kind of that's what's in the the thing I mixed up too. But
okay, so yeah, Boone's got the Presto one as well. Honestly, it's so easy to use, so simple. My friend Angela, she's got a Maestro one, and it's got
that's a little
weight that it's a little circle weight that you drop on, and it jiggles every little bit. And I don't like that one as much. That's something that if I was buying a pressure canner, I would avoid one that's a jiggler. You want one that's got the dial. Even though that seems more intimidating, it's not, because you can see exactly where it's sitting. So it's more precise, and it cans way better, I find.
Seems to work well anyways.
Yeah, it's really good. Roast them with onions and garlic. Yes. Okay, now we're talking. Anything with onion, garlic, and butter.
Oh, and actually, we did. Maybe you mentioned this already. Our garlic's coming up. It's already sticking up above
about an inch above the mulch. Yeah.
Yeah. No, hopefully it doesn't get burnt back. But
it's supposed to be nice tonight, and then I'm thinking I might throw a bit more straw on it tomorrow, because we're supposed to be 2 nights below 0, and I don't want it to get tipped off. So, no, I can't believe you've never pressure canned.
But it's one of those things. It is intimidating at first, and then once you do it, it's a couple times.
Well, and there's always that fear. Like, that was the thing for me. What if I blow something up or whatever? And I don't know. I mean, as long as you're watching it, I really don't think you can.
As long as you keep the pressure from, you want to keep it around.
If you walk away and go out to the barn, which I have done once, it didn't get too bad, but
it didn't get that bad.
No, but
hey, lots of good tips on radishes, which is awesome.
Just pick them out of the dirt, rub pants, enjoy. Ugh,
no, some of them are. It really.
Well, you said that
radish.
about those ones that Miles had. But
yeah, it really depends on the radish.
Yeah.
Yeah. Someone likes her
canner. Yeah,
they are.
It's good.
They're nice to have, and it opens up a whole world of possibilities.
Yeah.
Like, we'll say this, and not saying that other people have to do it, but like you even can some milk stuff that some people just go off the rocker. That's bad to do.
I pressure canned all the goat's milk.
The big thing with the milk was making sure it didn't get too warm, because then it did weird things to it. You had to. It's more finicky to keep it.
I couldn't. You'd have to have the dial canner in order to do milk.
A little cat without the hat.
It's one of those things that pressure canning milk is something that if you post that anywhere,
and it does. I know why.
And we also keep all the pressure canned milk, because it's like, okay, we don't have the goats anymore, and this is something that's going to hurt us this year. With the cows aren't milking either, but the pressure canned goat's milk was great, because if we had a baby that we lost the mom, or the mom wouldn't nurse, you could give them the canned milk. Granted, I don't can colostrum, so I didn't have that part, but we could. Like, I canned. what did I can? 30 liters last year or something down there? Something like that anyway, so that we'd have it for, yeah.
You're thinking you might try milking sheep this year anyways.
I'm going to try. I'm going to try. I don't know if you watched my shearing video, but Beauty, she's wonderful. She stands beautifully. I'm going to attempt to milk her this year. This will be my first time trying to milk the sheep. So we'll see if she'll cooperate. But sheep feta is the best feta. So I might not drink the milk, but I'm going to make cheese.
Yeah.
Because that's something that we will definitely notice this year with no dairy being produced on the farm is how much we're spending on cheese. We spend a lot on cheese.
Yeah. Well, it's one of the only things we buy a lot of.
Sorry, I'm going back up to Deborah there. She's asking about the Presto canner on Amazon. Give me 1 second.
Oh, this is the nice part about the technology. And the Bookshire Project's been doing the same with the radish information. Like I say, there's lots of good information there. I did know that they're there's a very finicky fine line between when they're good and when they're not good, depending on the variety. But
Presto.
Crock-pots are really nice too.
Is that like a slow cooker?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For completely different reasons. I bet you could probably can with them.
Okay, so when I search Presto pressure canner on Amazon.ca, it's the first one that comes up. It's a 23 quart. Now they're saying it's $206, which is a lot more than what it was in Home Hardware.
We're on Amazon.ca.
Yeah, we're on Amazon Canada. Well, Deborah's Canada.
Yeah, Deborah's Canada. So.
But it is the first one that comes up there, the 23 quart. I'll check Home Hardware quickly. Just because.
See. What does it say? Oh yeah, Home Hardware always takes a while. But yeah, I'm interested to follow some of Tiffany's stuff this year. Because we saw your garden space and that from your Shedwars entry. So you can grow a lot in a small space. You don't have
Home
to have
Hardware has one for 184. Sorry, we're talking different. We're bouncing around here.
184 is pretty good.
Yeah. North Shore got his at TSE. What type is yours, North Shore, Sean? I know you've said this before and it's been in your videos, but
you're usually the one that can remember numbers. I can never remember numbers, so I remember a lot of stuff, but not so much numbers. Yeah, it is that actually is cat without the hat. That's a really good point to a lot of things. Sometimes it's nice to not do too much more than you need to or have to. Hello, Firefly Farms. Oh.
I'm just looking now, and I don't see the same one anymore at Home Hardware either, Deborah. I am looking, and they don't seem to have it, which is interesting. So maybe they discontinued carrying it.
So North Shores was the Presto, the 23 or 28 quart?
Okay, yeah. See, mine's the 23. So yeah, North Shore's got the same one. They don't have that one available anymore. They do have one at Home Hardware for $184.99, but it's not the same one. It doesn't have the dial. It's a little, what I was talking about, the little jiggler.
They still work.
They still work.
And
I wouldn't, it's still Presto, but it's not, the one that I have is the one that is on Amazon, Deborah. The 23 liter with it's got the circle dial gauge, and it's got the little black thing that you drop on top. And it works awesome. Love it. It's been used a lot, and it hasn't let me down yet.
Yeah, you never know if you could find one too, because some of them you can just get the seals for them again. Well,
that was one thing too. We watched Northern Girl Hobbies, another great Canadian channel, and she got one just on. I believe she said she got it on Kijiji. Somebody, and it came with all these extras that you don't get with the others. So sometimes watching for them there is good, because really a pressure canner, there's not much that can go wrong with it.
Yeah. They definitely both work. You just prefer the pressure gauge.
Yeah.
Because then you can
Yeah.
see it a bit better.
Yeah. I found that the jiggler one, I'd go, oh gosh, I haven't heard it in my mind, it was a minute it hadn't jiggled, even though it was probably only 10 seconds. And then I would turn a dial up just a little bit more, just in case. And then it would get too hot. And yeah, I found it was a little bit, it was stressful. Stressful.
Stressful canning.
Yes, yes. Hey, Bomber Steve, I don't know if you already said hi. I was jabber-jabbering on about canning.
Nothing wrong with talking about canning.
Yeah.
Canning is an awesome skill to
well, I'm hoping that's something that we will definitely get across kind of a little bit on the Shed Wars stuff too, is, you know, we're going to try and focus a little bit on the getting it from the garden all the way to the canned, the preserved state.
The more you produce, the more you've got to.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we said about our example with ketchup, we grow 120 pounds of tomatoes just to make ketchup for the year, which is, yeah, it's going to be interesting. But cat without a hat. Let's see again. If you really want to.
Planting peas with, yeah, we've never done that. I know there's definitely a few plants to just avoid in those kind of combinations. We do carrots and onions do pretty well together. Relatively.
We should share our video.
Oh yeah, we're talking about Shed Wars.
We're talking about Shed Wars.
We did this last week,
and it worked awesome. This is how we're gonna try potentially to do our weigh-ins for Shed Wars. I don't know. It's just we're gonna post on our live. We haven't quite figured out the whole ins and outs of how you submit everything yet. There's probably somewhere that we need to read that.
But everyone bear with us for
we're going to. It's, what is it, a minute and 20 seconds?
It's really short.
It's really short, but this was our week for our Shed Wars.
Yep. So I'm going to just put this little mini video up.
So bear with us. We'll be back.
Well, this is just a little, weigh-in of something we're up to right now. Basically, we've got a half a sheep here to weigh, and we'll be weighing the other half in a moment. This is kind of like the hanging weight, but we do it a little differently because we don't actually have a hanging scale.
So this is our 5th sheep that we've butchered already in March. Unfortunately, the only one so far to count for Shed Wars, but we have one more to go.
So the front end is 25.8.
25.8
pounds, and we'll subtract the board and the thing we have underneath it.
Yeah,
once we get the second half done. So that's half.
Half of the sheep. We will come back with the final numbers.
All right, so here is the second half of the sheep.
17.6. And now we have to take off the 3 pounds. That was, so that's 14.6. So he ended up being 37.2. 37.25 pounds, basically. We'll say 37 pounds just to make it easy, but
it's not bad.
Not too bad at all.
Here's kind of our, I guess, first week worth of tallies. So we kind of took the spreadsheet and we broke it up by day for the week, because I'm pretty sure when we get to it, we're going to have harvest for most days. As you can see, we actually did have a harvest of something on every day except for Monday because it wasn't part of it. And Wednesday, we didn't actually. What we basically had was eggs, which is all chicken eggs. We had kale twice, which is a little bit. And we had lamb, because we did harvest a sheep, obviously. So our grand totals were, per day, we had 582 on Tuesday, 0 on Wednesday, 318 on Thursday, this is all in grams, 303 on Friday, 17,353 on Saturday, which was the day we harvested the sheep, and 64 on Sunday. So our grand total was 18,620 grams, or 41.05 pounds.
Not too bad for first week of Shed Wars.
Not too bad at all. So, anyways, that's week 1. So yeah, that was just our little compilation. We found out that you could do this with StreamYard and just put in these little videos.
Yeah, so we thought that was kind of one of our things, we were just going to do a document on our live of this was what the week brought, and some weeks will be good, and some weeks there may not even be any mention of it because it'll be pitiful. But
kind of fun.
Yeah, and I see a lot of people posting here about it's just a tally at the end, so that's awesome because we were not sure. We searched on the Shedwars.com.
Well, we got the spreadsheet.
Yeah,
we
loaded the spreadsheet to keep track on our computer, but it only broke it into weeks instead. And we were like, oh, well, it's easier for us to tally every day. So that's kind of what we went for. And yeah. So, okay, Wickershire saying, help educate the public what is possible. Yes. And keep track. It's more than fishing. Each other's knowledge. Great video. Yes, exactly. Well, and that's where we kind of were like, we said we weren't going to do now I see if you have to do a final one with your weigh-in, we're going to do that at the end, but we're not going to do a video
all the time.
Yeah, like a weigh-in video and things like that. We weren't going to do that sort of thing. We just thought it'd be kind of fun to do the little tidbits and put it on our live just for us to kind of track and keep it.
It was more as we could, do the little update. Doesn't really.
Yeah, it's just fun to do the update. Yeah, we've kind of got the whole thing. For us, it's very exciting to keep track because that's something we've never done before. Mm-hmm. We aren't, we're not changing anything about what we do and what we normally grow. No, not really. It's just kind of one of those. I'm very curious as to what we actually grow. I have no idea.
Did we say hi to Vineyard Chicks?
I'm not sure, but hi Vineyard Chicks. And if they got hi twice, then they'll feel extra special. Right? Yeah.
Something we were actually sort of talking about the other day was fish because we don't live very far from the St. Lawrence River, but
yeah.
I don't know. It's it's hard sometimes to harvest.
Oh, there's such a great advantage. Well, not necessarily an advantage in the sense of Shed Wars. It's an advantage in the sense of foraging or growing your own food to be able to. Well, it's no different than people that can go out and hunt and things like that. I mean, now unfortunately on hunting, you're very restricted to a small part of the season that you could do it. As opposed to
fishing is no different depending on what it is.
Yeah, I guess because you got your bass season.
But, actually, speaking of foraging, we were eyeing up our
lilies.
The daylilies are starting to come up. Some of them are already like big.
And a few of them have even opened out into their leaves, which we tend to usually pick them to eat before they open out. But we've had such nice hot weather; they've sprouted up so quick they got ahead of us. Last year we were picking the hosta sprouts and the lily sprouts at the same time, and my hostas haven't even made an appearance, and the lilies are 4 inches tall.
Yeah.
So definitely something.
Well, it's another thing.
Something's going on this year that they're not matched up.
Oh, I think a lot of plants are that way, though.
Yeah,
that's a whole nother topic. But anyways, that's going to be fun because it's like. Well, that's things like daylilies and hostas, and that's how they got brought to North America because they're edible, and you got the shoot in the spring when you didn't have a lot of other greens. So, not a typical thing, not something you could ever commercialize by any means, but still kind of cool.
50-pound catfish.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
That'd be big.
Yeah. It would be big. I've seen some that are probably close to that when snorkeling in that.
Yeah.
But, never caught one like that.
Oh. It would be quite the battle to reel that in. I don't use line that's good enough to.
I don't either.
We're usually on the 6-pound test.
Or small, for sunfish and stuff.
Yeah. But, it's not very often that we catch something more than
black crappie I catch the odd decent sized largemouth bass.
Sometimes, but
yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Remy. Yes, thumbs up, everyone. Would be great. I'm trying to think of what else has really been
up to. I don't know. It just feels like we kind of hit the official start of spring and everything's kind of accelerated. Like the snow disappeared quick. The frost is coming out of the ground quick. We're already partially I'm going to say this and regret it because it's going to pour rain in April, but some of the really worst part of quote unquote the spring
Rain,
mud season's
yeah.
already past us because you're getting the drainage, at least on our property. The geese started laying eggs, so we got to get some stuff sorted there so that we can get them having babies. Chickens have ramped up on their eggs quite a bit.
Yeah.
What else? Oh boy.
Well, we're just got to get through the next week where we've got a few little cold nights, and then everything can really kick in. We're expecting baby bunnies by Friday. Hopefully, should have a couple litters of baby rabbits by Friday.
Which figures because
coldest day of the spring. That's when it always happens.
They always come.
So I got my blankets ready to throw over my hutches because I know what's going to happen. They're all going to have their babies on the worst night. It'll be -15 because they are threatening that. And then that'll be when the baby bunnies arrive. I just know it. And I mean, as you guys know, they're not in a barn. They're outside in their hutches year round. So
that's the best way to predict when the bad weather's coming. Whether it's going to be too hot, too cold, too windy, too wet and rainy, whatever it is, whatever the worst weather you're going to get in the season when they're supposed to have their babies, it'll always be right around that time.
Yeah. Well, that, and then last year we had the sheep born right before we got the snowstorm in May.
Oh no, it was the year before it was worse though.
Oh yeah.
They were actually born in the freezing rain.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
But that's kind of cool, the hand fishing. I have actually done that in the past, but not in a very long time.
No.
I don't fish nearly as much as I used to.
Yeah.
It's more like a time thing. But
no, I wouldn't let it go to waste either.
Yeah. Oh, it's actually,
he doesn't let anything go to waste. He has like a mourning dove, and it's like, oh, well, we could eat that.
Oh yeah, when they hit the window or whatever, why not?
It's like a quarter size.
Mourning dove is bigger than that.
No.
Yes, it is.
What
was I going to say? Oh yeah, when you say about not wasting, my brother a few years ago, this is a few years ago, but he hit a buck during the rut with his truck, and the hanging weight, he was like 300 pounds. He was huge. We could barely, he was hanging in the garage and his feet were still touching the ground. It was pretty big. Yeah, he was big. But
pickling jalapenos, yes.
Yeah, you've done that.
Yes.
We pickle, what's the other one? Some of the wax peppers. And I think you could probably, the Hungarian.
I did last year I did the hot Hungarian peppers. I pickled them. They were very good. I've done the jalapenos in rings, like what you'd buy in the store. We tend to freeze the jalapenos more so than can them now. But
actually, going to go back to a comment that Remy had way up at the beginning about blanching, because we were talking about that sometimes we find the best way with vegetables is just you cut them up into whatever pieces you want, put them on the cookie sheet, put them in the freezer, just let it freeze.
Changed my world last year. I've been blanching all of our vegetables and putting them into bags and vacuum sealing them for freezing over the winter. I had been doing that for years. And it kind of was to the point then I started thinking, well, maybe I'll can them because it's still the same amount of work in theory. Anyways, I just got lazy last year and we got behind, and I just said, I'm just going to chop them up. I'm going to throw them on a cookie sheet, freeze them, and throw them in a bag. That's what I did. I did that with our Italian peppers. I did that with the cauliflower. I did it with the broccoli. I did the beans, everything. The yellow crooked-neck summer squash. Cubed it up, threw it on a tray. It
worked quite well.
Flash froze it, threw it in a bag. It worked amazing. Nothing blanched at all. Just frozen individual, thrown in. It was so great for stir fries and pasta sauces, and we use it in curry. The peppers were amazing because you could actually take them out and put them on like tacos and salad cold. Like they don't get me wrong, they weren't crispy, but they were not mush. It was such a game changer for me.
Well. We'll do some videos on that.
Yeah, definitely going to do some videos with that. We did the same thing with all of our berries, all of our blackberries and stuff. We just laid them on cookie sheets in the top of the freezer and froze them that way and put them into bags. And it was so great because you can just go in and grab a handful and throw it into whatever you're cooking. Amazing. Definitely a video on that.
And if you want to be a moderator, you're more than welcome, Boone.
What's that for?
Oh, CGM said she's not a moderator. Oh,
No.
hello, Urban Girl.
We actually don't have much
Hey,
for
Thorhaven.
moderators. Hey, Thorhaven. We watched
Oh,
your
yeah,
onesie video today.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Yes, he's talking about that too. Yeah, it's funny. It works pretty well.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm never blanching anything again after that. Never. It's like my tomatoes. I just throw them in. I hate water bathing tomatoes because I can't stand adding extra moisture to things. And so I throw all my tomatoes in the freezer. And then when I want to use them, I take them out and the skins peel right off. The extra water, I just drain it out of the bag. And I've got half cooking time on things like ketchups and sauces. So great.
When it comes to hot and sweet peppers, we find we do. I think we did a video on it. We do like the paper towel method in the little baggie.
And heat.
And heat. We always put them pretty close to the wood stove. We find I've tried it in soil and stuff. And I know people do it with the heat mats and that, but I've never had luck. It's the baggie works. And the nice part of it is when whatever doesn't sprout, you didn't waste the space on the soil, kind of wondering, was it too cold? Did it not? Was it not a good seed? Whatever. You can just kind of throw a little handful or whatever you think you want in. We're getting to the point where we usually end up with most of them sprouting, so you can end up with a lot. But
yeah, that's what we end up doing, and then plant them after we know they've germinated. Some people have used hot mats. Still, they work quite well.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't know if you'd said hi to Urban Girl. Hi, Urban Girl Gardening. I don't know if you said hi to them already.
There's lots of
hi,
people.
Mackenzie
We're
Lindstrom.
way behind.
You're so, yeah. Yes, Thorhaven, carrots are the one thing I have not tried it with, but I'm going to gamble that it will work just fine. So that's going to be on the list for this year.
It works with parsnip. In fact,
parsnip,
we're going to
yes.
do that here soon.
We are about to go and start harvesting our wild parsnip. Yes, the horrible stuff that everybody wants to get rid of, and we love it. But I'm going to do a video on the blanching.
I think a freeze dryer would still be worthwhile for certain things. But for some of the vegetables that you would blanch, this method seems to work well.
Yeah, we honestly, we can
certainly add you as a moderator, Jules. We can't do it right now because we're in the StreamYard thing, but we can go back and we'll add you if you want.
Can I do it from my phone? I don't think I can.
I don't know if you can do it from your phone, no.
We'll make Jules a moderator.
Glad everybody. I think everybody's going to learn a lot from everybody, to be honest.
Yes.
Because that's one thing that we say over and over and over, and I'm way behind in the chat, so I apologize. But there's always something to learn from everybody, no matter how big of a garden, how small of a garden, how long they've been doing it. There's always little tricks. But I don't actually have a onesie.
No, but we got a plan. We're going to make the kids do it.
They'll love it.
Yeah, so we were joining.
Oh, don't bump the table.
I bumped the table. I was trying to do the thing here.
Oh, we're just having some really good chat with everybody about, I don't know, a little bit of everything that's kind of going on.
That's how we usually do things.
Yeah, pretty much. Just gonna scroll down, make sure I'm not too far behind here. Yeah, you guys are chatting about snakes. Now, we only have in Ontario one venomous snake. We used to be two. The one's extirpated, so no longer here. But and that's the Massasauga rattlesnake, which is not a particularly aggressive snake. You pretty much have to like stomp on it to get it to bite you, or pick it up and whirl it around, which is not legal. But all the snakes we have are good ones too. I like snakes, not in a have them in the house kind of way, but
no.
So far around our property, we've only found eastern garter snakes, but I'm pretty sure we've got some others.
Sorry, I'm gonna have to go in this and then mute it quickly.
Yep, we're the exact same way. I don't know how many pounds of tomatoes you've got in the freezer, but there is quite a few, I think.
Oh yeah, there's got to be at least 100 pounds still in there. So.
Oh boy, I am so far behind.
That's all right. Don't miss anything.
Like I am so far behind. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, for rosemary, you did rosemary from seed. That's kind of cool, actually. We've never tried it. We've got to see about.
I don't think our rosemary's coming back.
Well, we'll see. We'll cut it back.
I'm not convinced.
Yeah,
I'm still
there's,
here. I'm just on the other
me too,
computer, and
Tracy.
we have a real slope floor, and my chair has wheels, and it just goes. Boom. Oh,
Yeah, turnip greens are pretty good. We if we don't eat that sort of stuff, we usually, it sounds bad, but we feed
there,
it to
Jules
the
has a
rabbits.
wrench.
But
You can have a wrench.
yeah, we're giving out wrenches if
Anybody
else
wants a wrench,
one.
they can have a wrench.
Free wrenches for everybody.
We're friendly people. You can post links. You can within moderation links. But
Yeah, that's also awesome because
Yes.
there's lots of good people in here. It's exactly like this comment. It's all about building community.
yes, we were talking about this last night, weren't we? In the Me and You Acres live.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe Angie and Mike live about 2 hours from us, so that's kind of cool.
2.5 maybe.
See, he thinks
Yep.
of doing the kid. Yeah.
Oh, they will love it. They
yeah.
both, and
Now
they
I
have-
will admit their onesies are not as good as yours was, though.
No, but they've got multiple pick
That's
from.
true. They could do multiple onesie challenges. We'll make them wear their Christmas ones. That'd be kind of fun.
They'd probably love that, actually. They'll probably want to do, they can switch wardrobe between, they can do a bunch of them. Oh boy, I'm so far behind. I apologize, everybody. So if anybody's
well,
asked a question,
Ask it again. How many gardeners do you know? pH test.
onesie too.
We don't.
No, we haven't.
We don't
Okay,
pH
yeah.
test. Although we got one. Jute yarn is not what
We're
we
going-
got.
we're
So we're
gonna
gonna start.
Inside, especially.
Okay, North Shore. We want to see the video of the onesie.
It is good to see. To be honest, I think it's awesome to see everybody in chatting.
I think it's YouTube or internet in general just makes everything such a small world. I think that's one of the things we notice is it's amazing how many like-minded people are out there when you are on this type of medium.
Mm-hmm. That's good that they did come up.
Oh,
with heat mats.
sweet. Yes, good.
Everyone stop chatting. No, don't stop chatting.
No. What was the vinegar and baking soda thing? You're only reading the parts that you find interesting.
That's because I have the mouse.
You have control of the mouse. So I'm going to have to use the other computer to follow the chat.
Oh, that's too funny.
If you mismute, obviously. I like tools. Does that mean... Does Mackenzie Lindstrom want to be a moderator? Because we're more than you're more than welcome to be one. We love it.
I jumped ahead again.
Yes, you skipped ahead.
I didn't skip ahead. It skipped ahead on me.
Yes. So I'm 2 hours 45 minutes from you. I'm guessing he means from us, not from CJM Farms.
Maybe.
Because you're north of. Are you north of Me and You Acres? Is that right? And then the worst bit is I ask a question, and by the time we get to it, I forget what I asked.
It keeps jumping ahead on me.
I haven't done it yet.
We do use the paper towel method for a lot of things. Not everything. Tomatoes we don't, because every year, like the more years we save seeds, we just seem to get better and better germination. We definitely found that fairly early on that saving your own seeds, at least for some things, makes a big difference on how vigorously they grow. And tomatoes would be one of those things. There,
Mackenzie's now moderator.
Yeah, the kids don't. Do they have ones that have feet on them? No, I don't think they do. Not
anymore. No, they got too tall.
Okay, I'm just going down to the end because it keeps.
Type questions in all caps. You know what? I honestly cannot imagine how people do it. Like we've gone into, for example, we very much enjoy Roots to Refuge channel, and we've gone into her live. I don't know how she can manage. Even pinball preparedness. We go into his live, and it's a moving. Like
it's hard to keep up with it.
It's
hard to keep up when you're not on camera.
Yeah, and then you get all caps, but then other people just talk in all caps, so you're more, But anyways,
the no blanching thing. It's could you do it with leeks? I think you could do it with leeks. You can definitely do it with beans because you've done it with beans.
Beans. I've done whole beans.
Them up into the size.
I cut them up to whatever size you would throw into stir fry soup, whatever, and just flash freeze them flat like on a cookie sheet, and then we just empty it into a Ziploc bag. And that way I can constantly go. We do have those fancy bags for the vacuum sealer that you can open and reseal, but I don't feel like wasting them on something that I know I'm going to use relatively quick. That's one thing. We don't usually store more food than we're going to use before the next growing season. So,
well, but that being said, we usually end up with extra, which is not necessarily a bad thing.
Oh no,
because we still have quite a bit of canning. This is the other thing that's hard about it too, right? Because you look at, I'm going to go off on a tangent again. You look at a year's worth of food, like we did that video on, how much food do you need to grow in a year. That was our first Shed Wars video for anybody who hasn't maybe seen it. But, you need, what was it, 1,000 pounds per person? Or was it more than that?
1,996 pounds.
So almost 2,000 pounds per person. But like, if you were to produce that yourselves, if you started day one of year one and produce it, that's no food for that first year. That would be food if you're storing it for the next one, right? So you've always got this. There's always this overlap where things. It's kind of like the sheep, right? That sheep we harvested last weekend on Saturday was from last year, but everything still, for a variety of reasons, kind of rolls over to the next year, and everything just blends together.
Especially now that we don't leave the homestead.
Yeah, exactly.
Can't keep up either. I know. I honestly, and I see. I always have to pause to say your name. Wickershire Project. You can slow it down, but then doesn't it get even further behind? Oh no, I see what he's saying. That's one message per person that they can post. Oh, but that would take the fun out of everybody being able to chit chat.
Besides,
I've heard people say you can slow the chat down, but then I think that would just make you even further behind. So. Oh
yeah, CJM was in Toronto. We knew that. That.
Okay, yes, we did know that.
Yeah, it's. I think, what did we call it? It was our first. It was our first Shedwars21 video, and I think it was how much do we need to grow is what it was called.
Yeah.
So at face value, it doesn't necessarily sound exactly like what it was, but it wasn't how much do we need to grow for Shed Wars. It was just
how much does a
you
person
need to grow to
eat
feed
in
yourself.
A year?
Yeah, not that.
And it was one of those things. It included things like sugar and dairy and
it's everything.
It included your fats and all that sort of stuff. So
hello,
it was
hello Yanis, and hello Freehandly.
Hi Yanis, hi Freehandly. But yeah, definitely it was so interesting for us to do that video because it wasn't necessarily we're going to grow that much. It was just how much does the average person actually eat, and it was kind of shocking when and then you started thinking about it. You went, well, actually, that's probably not that far off. Really, I mean, but
11 new chicks. That's pretty good.
Nice.
We're a ways off. Our birds are still not ready to sit.
Did you do incubator? Must be.
Yes, because I saw. We didn't. I think there's a video coming. I can't remember. I saw it today. I saw the thumbnail.
Yeah, we're collecting eggs for some of ours. We've got a few groups of our chickens that we only have 2 hens. So we're collecting eggs right now from those ones instead of eating them so that we can then introduce them back to the nest boxes once this cold snap is over. And hopefully we'll see all our hens sit by the end of April or mid to end of April, because it'd be nice to have the chicks born in May. So fingers crossed.
We're not experts on this vineyard chicks at all, but I think it's things that you harvest during the Shed Wars period is how we're taking it anyways. But at the same time, we've not changed. Like, our year is our year the way it is. Like, yeah. So we're just.
Yeah. But that's how we interpret it is, like, for us, for example, any of the animals that are born on the farm this year, we don't butcher them until next year.
Well, the chickens and the rabbits.
Well, the chickens and rabbits will be, but yeah.
Yeah, I definitely would agree with that, North Shore. I think what we looked at was kind of like, what does a typical adult eat um, in weight of food
Mhm.
under sort of, I guess you'd say,
It was just the
optimal
norm. Yeah.
conditions.
Yeah.
But obviously, kind of, we just use that as a benchmark because
Yeah.
you are right. You could totally survive on less. There's no question about that.
Well, and it was interesting because we got some research from a few prepping sites on what they actually store for a full year's worth of food for a family of 4, and that's where some of our numbers came from on things like dried beans, for example, and sugar products, like if you were producing honey and maple syrup. We kind of have a little notebook off to the side now of things, because it's all stuff that we want to strive towards. It's going to take years, and we hope to kind of showcase that as we go with our channel, because
that's the point.
It's about taking people on the journey of how we're going to get to growing all our food.
And Chris has an excellent point. It's all about having fun. Like, we're not,
No.
hopefully we're not coming off that we're focused on the weight. For us, the weight is very interesting because we've never actually tracked it. So we're very, very interested to see what that is. And then it's kind of like going back to that video about how much it's reflecting on that. Well, how much of that figure, kind of under sort of optimal, did we actually produce ourselves, and what can't we produce? What, there's some things where I'm going to say it this way: living in a northern, and we're not even that far north, but living in a northern environment, we're not optimal with a year-round growing season by any means. We're always going to be dependent on others for a few things, and that's fine. It's just, how much can we actually grow ourselves?
Well, for us, the next challenge to look into is, and we'll document that too, but is the fact that just because we grow our own meat doesn't mean we can feed our own meat, because we have to purchase to feed those animals.
That's another part we're working towards, but that's a much more complicated thing to add on to that. Yeah, no, definitely.
But yes, we are also terrible because, and I think that's something that does happen when you start producing. And I mean, we hope to kind of, teach people some of this sort of stuff. But when you start to produce your own food, you realize how tasty it is. And you start to eat more. Well, it's like you don't think about it's like when we go down to the grow room and we harvest the kale for a salad, and we don't think about the $5 it costs for a bag at Walmart, and so you're eating a small salad. We just let's make a huge bowl of kale.
But the other thing that I find, when you talk about like what you need to survive, I've always said this: when you grow your own food, and this is a general statement that I'm just going to say across the board, when it doesn't have the other stuff added to it, i.e. the high sugar corn syrups and that sort of stuff that kind of make it, I'm going to say it this way, addicting, that you want to eat more, you enjoy the flavor of it, and you get comfortably full without eating, like gorging on food. That's something that I've noticed over time, which is kind of nice. But beans are another great one, because I really think dry beans and growing dry beans as part of a garden, even a backyard garden, is something that's quite underrated, because you get a lot of protein out of them. And if there's a lot of bush beans that do take up a lot of space, but there's also a lot of varieties that don't, especially some of the pole beans. You can grow, like our red cranberry beans that we grew this year. You can grow a lot of beans in a very small space. Like, what did we do? We bought the 1 pack of seeds. There might have been 20 seeds in it when we bought it.
And we did it on a cattle panel arch, and it produced like 20 What did we say? A pound was 2 cups, right? Isn't that what it was? I think we ended up, from the 1 pack of seeds, we got almost 8 pounds of beans, which we've saved them all, other than some that we shared in the Canadian Seed Challenge. But we've saved them all because we want to plant more. And I shouldn't say that, because I did try them in chili just to make sure we liked them.
Yeah, and they were very good. And that's the other thing too, when you get growing dry beans, you can experiment with things that are a little different, because there's almost as many bean varieties as there is tomato varieties, to put that in perspective. And beans are great because they don't need a big separation distance to keep them pure, which is also nice because you can grow different kinds. And you can have that variety. Yeah, you'd be very similar to us, Tiffany. anywhere in the Northeast, you've got long parts of the year where you just, unless you can grow it inside, you can't really grow.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes, Tiffany, red cranberry beans.
Yes,
Love them.
We really like
They're
them.
only a dried bean. You don't use them as green at all.
No, we did try one. They weren't great. I think
now
they're
saying that, I
old-
don't know if you could eat the bean, but the shell is very stringy and chewy. You couldn't eat.
But they're an old variety because they're possibly one of the first. Like they're what do you call that? They were developed here in North America, so they've been around for a long time. They also call them the true red cranberry bean, but they're
well, who's the lady that we watched that grows them? Michelle. I'm going to give away all the.
Yeah, we did send them.
To Chris.
They're
you'll like. They're really nice. They're just a dry bean.
You probably won't. In the number we sent to you, the first year you won't get enough to do anything with them, and that's the one thing.
No, you get enough because.
No, sure you'll get enough to plant a really big batch the next year.
Well, yeah, pending if you're anything like us, where we're obsessed with big batches of everything.
Well, yeah, we do everything in excess.
What's the girl's name? The one that James likes to watch, Michelle.
I don't remember because names are about as hard as for me to remember.
Anyways,
numbers.
She grows the red cranberry bean, and that's where we kind of originally had heard about it from her. And we saw her harvest, and it was just amazing. It's going to bug me now.
That's funny because I always say this about vegetables because Wickshire Project's got a funny point about the bush beans. You almost want vegetables that are borderline weeds, things that just want to grow, as opposed to this. At least in our area, this is my opinion. You don't want the vegetables that are kind of weak and you really gotta, unless they produce something amazing, like I'm going to grow ginger again. Obviously, ginger here is a little harder because we're not a tropical climate. You got to baby it a little bit. But for some of those normal annual crops and definitely perennial crops, you want something that's going to do well and wants to live as opposed to something that doesn't. And we have definitely picked varieties of things like tomatoes and beans. And like originally, I think I tried like about 10 to 15 different bean varieties and kind of narrowed it down between taste and growth habit to ones where it's like, yep, these are keepers, like my Ireland Creek Annie beans, which I really like, and they came from one seed, which is really cool. But versus things that just didn't do well or didn't taste good. But the cranberry beans are very pretty as well. They're a neat one. Really, really like them. Yes, ramps or otherwise. Ramps are the same as the wild. Sometimes people call them wild leeks. They're not actually a leek, but they are. They're an interesting one. I would love to get some established here because we don't have any on the property. Put them in the food forest, but I also know that that's a little bit of a longer term thing because they don't spread very rapidly. So you don't want to be harvesting too much from them. It's good to watch stuff and collect information, definitely, but you will find that no matter how much information you watch or read, you really won't learn certain things until you actually try it.
You know what the stinking problem is? I want to say the lady's name that we subscribed to her channel, and I can't think of the name of it, and I subscribe to so many channels. I've scrolled through all of my subscriptions twice and I can't find her, but I have so many subscriptions.
Have a good night, Boone. I'll have to ask you what kind of fish you have because I'm always interested in fish too, but I'll ask that another night. There will be more nights. Oh yes, autocorrect. Oh, and I'm behind again.
That's all right.
Showdown going on between Will It Grow and Cadron and Hydroponics.
I found her. Melissa K. Norris.
Oh yeah, she grew them. I think we had the seeds before that though, but
we may have. I don't know, but we like some of her stuff. I forget where she is.
Oh, the ramps. That's cool. Yeah, you guys probably up in your area. They're probably a little more common. They're not uncommon here either. I know where there's some wild patches and stuff. But
I wonder if they would travel to us well.
Yeah, you could.
We could meet in Kingston at some point. Jesus. I would steal some.
I'll add them to our food forest.
Yes.
Oh, dry mottled purple bean. That would actually be pretty cool.
Very pretty.
Beans are, I think they're kind of amazing, and I do think they are one of those completely underrated vegetables, especially dry beans, because a lot of people do grow like the wax beans. But yeah, so many people, very few people grow dry beans, and it's pretty easy. It's just getting the timing to get them in at the proper time and making sure you get them out. But otherwise, it's not too bad.
Sorry, I missed. What does Chris need thrown up? Your mod.
Can you share? Yeah.
We could be behind in the chat. Maybe it's
might have missed something. Which is very, very likely because he keeps jumping ahead on me here. Oh yeah, we have that same problem too. That's actually for our single seed challenge. We planted a yellow pear tomato that we got from Gardening in the North as part of the Canadian Seed Challenge, which is kind of cool. But we put it in a pot, and we used some worm castings. And at some point in the time, we put some tomato seeds apparently in with the worms, and they sprouted. So we've got one little tomato that's not the right one. I'm pretty sure it's growing out to the side, and then we've got the right one. But
sorry, I don't know if I can share it. Hang on.
Can
we share in our own chat?
You're a moderator, so you can under your name. I've never actually done the rattlesnake beans, to be honest. But yeah, that would be cool. We can make that work at some point because we're not very far from Kingston in the grand scheme of things. I used to have to drive there every day for work, and now I don't, which is awesome.
Let's see if I can get it up here. She's a huge channel, Melissa K. Norris, but we do like her.
This is what's really cool because everybody's talking about beans that they like to grow in that, and I think beans are one of those things, and tomatoes do it too. But beans are one of those things. They usually have little stories associated with them, which is very cool. Well, it's like your grandmother's, your Bama's beans. No idea what they are, but they're definitely distinct from anything else we've grown. And we like them, and it's worth keeping them going.
They are, should I tell my story again, just in case anybody doesn't know the story of the beans?
Yeah, go for it.
So my because I don't know if I've ever really told the full story on it. So I just posted her that Melissa's link. I don't know if it worked because I don't know if I can do it because I'm not a moderator. But anyways, because I did it under Hickory Craft. So, but anyways, so my grandmother lived next to a Asian couple for, well, they still live beside each other. So 40, 50 years. And anyways, when she first moved there, the lady kept growing these beans, and she'd brought them with her when they'd moved. And I don't know. I don't remember what part of, if they were from China, or I'm not 100% sure. I only met her once in my life because they were very quiet into themselves. But anyway, she gave my grandmother some of these beans over 40 years ago. And I think she gave her a handful. And so my grandmother, who I call Bama, she grew these beans and kept them going for years and years. And my mom was never a gardener, so that didn't happen. But anyways, Bama gave me a handful of these beans when I got my first place out here in Ontario. And I've been growing them since then here as a pole bean and saving the seeds. So we have no idea what they are. Bama's neighbor doesn't speak English. So it was kind of one of those, she got these beans and they've been kept going and stayed true for 40, 50 years now, but nobody knows what they actually are called. So we just call them Bama's beans.
They're good though.
Yes, but they're very good, and they're amazing as a green bean. Green pole bean, they're a little bit bigger. They chop up and freeze really, really nice.
Yeah, they're quite thick and fleshy. Actually.
Yeah, or you can save them for a dry bean as well. As a dry bean, they're a lot smaller bean, I would say, than most of the beans you would save for dry bean, but they still work really good.
But they're still the common bean.
Yeah.
I'm
Hey,
big
Austin
on.
Aquarius.
There's so many different dry beans and stuff. Actually, the bean, that bean complex, beans, peas, all that sort of thing. It's really interesting because you can go quite down the rabbit hole. Like I want to try growing some of the other different species, like mung beans and.
Yes, and I'm growing. What are they called? Pinto? No, what are the little ones that I want for baked beans?
The white ones?
Yes, navy beans.
Navy beans.
I'm going to
you want
try
navy
this
bush
year.
beans.
I just bought a bag from the grocery store from Food Basics, a big bag. But I said I've tried all of our beans, trying to make baked beans, and they're not the right for what I want. So we're going to try and do the navy beans, because as it is, I'm still buying navy beans from the store to make baked beans because I don't like any of our beans for baked beans. They're great for chili and 5-bean salad and things like that, but they're not great for
No, we
baked
found
beans.
out this year that our Black Valentine beans make really good black bean burgers.
Oh, yes.
Which is cool.
Black
so we'll be
bean.
growing a lot more of them. They're
Yes.
a great, Black Valentine's a really good dual purpose because they grow really good green beans, but they also make a really good dry black bean.
Mhm.
So, and they're not they're stringless and all
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah.
They are a bush bean though, so they take
Well,
up a
this
bit,
year I think we're
bit
going
more
to
space.
allocate 2 rows to be dried and 2 rows to be green.
Yes, that is actually something about for the Black Valentines and any bean that's kind of that dual purpose. You're almost better off to leave a couple plants, like if you want the dry beans. Don't wait to collect all your dry beans at the end.
No.
You need to leave a few. You need to leave the plants. Like you can harvest a little bit, but leave the plant growing to produce the best dry beans if you're going to save seed in particular. But because what often happens is if you kind of pick and pick and pick and pick and then go, oh, I got a couple weeks or a month left, they don't mature quick enough at that point. Whereas if you let the plant do what it wants to do, you're just kind of splitting your harvest between, like you say, this row is for green eating beans and this row is for dry beans or whatever works best kind of thing.
Yeah.
But that's definitely something to consider. We have real secret seeds. Yeah, we have a few interesting ones.
Yes.
Well, this is interesting.
And we watched your sprout videos, really good, and
we want
to try.
This is my thing about sprouts, to go off on another thing and lose the chat again. But definitely like microgreens and sprouts. But my biggest problem with it is if you're just buying the seeds to then sprout them and eat them, it's not ultra sustainable. But if you can I'm going to pick on broccoli for a moment because broccoli sprouts are really, really good. But broccoli seeds, when you're buying them for sprouting versus the volume, they're not the cheapest thing to do. But if you can get broccoli to go to seed and you can do quite a few broccoli plants, like when your minimum population size is supposed to be like 10 or so plants anyways, that's a lot of seed, which means you can produce, you can take that broccoli and hypothetically you can get three crops out of it because you can have the flower head that you eat as the classic broccoli. You can have, as long as you keep some off to the side to go to seed, you can get a huge seed harvest, which means you can replenish your seeds and you can eat some of them as sprouts and you can technically eat the greens as well. So, which is pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm. Beans for chili, yes. I'm really after what I'm really hoping to make is a canned 5-bean medley. And we've been trying different beans for years, trying to master a 5-bean medley that's perfect for what I want. And close. So far we've got 3 that are absolutely perfect, 1 that will do, and we need the 5th one yet.
Yep.
So
we did watch, I think we watched the dry bean canning one.
Yeah.
Yeah, we watched that. It's well, because we do it both ways. Because you have pressure canned some of the bean stuff too, haven't you? Yeah, yeah, it works well.
Yeah, like bean soup and 10 bean soup is another one. I do buy parts of the beans for that because I'm not growing 10 different kinds of beans. That's
a excellent point because that's probably the #1 biggest challenge with dry beans, especially if you're more northerly. Is you want to be watching your crop and you want to be watching your weather. If worse comes to worse and you're going to, for us, it's always October, kind of middle of October when they're just about ready.
Yeah. And you
dry.
really want to make sure that you check those plants and make sure they're off the ground because anything that's lying on the ground, even then, won't dry out.
No. So the other thing you can do with bush beans is just at that point, pull the whole plant up.
Yeah, we hang it in the rafters.
And you hang them upside down in a shed or whatever. The nice part of it is really no pests go for them. Like the mice don't carry them away or whatever. But that's a little trick. If you get that optimal window that it's been dry for a little bit, not quite ready, you can kind of put it off if you do that. You can't even bring them in the house. It's not going to hurt anything. But
question. It's great. I mean, there's definitely nothing wrong with buying seeds for sprouts. No. And I mean, we've talked about even starting the sunflower seeds kind of as sprouts because they're really tasty.
But sunflowers are also a lot cheaper to buy.
Yeah, but it is kind of one of those things. The broccoli just potentially we could grow the seeds to do it.
It's just one example.
And what was the other one?
Some of the peas. Most of the peas you can do the same thing.
Yeah.
And yes, we are very excited.
Yes.
We haven't started any yet, but to try that because that's exactly we had chatted with you about that. But that's exactly what we want is a few things that your basically your edible harvest is kind of multiple things out of something. Because we say this with livestock all the time. If they're dual or triple or whatever purpose, as long as you're going to use them for that purpose, it's so much better because you're getting more value out of the effort and whatever. But vegetables are no different. If you can get, or plants in general, if you can get multiple.
Have a great night, Cat in the Hat. Sorry if you've already left. We're probably so far behind.
I don't think we're too bad.
Okay.
But yeah, if you can get multiple.
And good night, Vineyard Chicks. Thank you so much for coming in.
Yes, thank you guys.
It's great to see you guys. Go Team Woodcutter.
Yes.
Just to throw it in there.
But yeah, the more products you can, I say products, the more things you can get out of something, the better. Wherever you can do it without it being completely difficult.
Sorry, grilled sunflower. What part do you grill? That was Chris said that about that. Or you mean like grilled sunflower seeds? What part do you grill? I'm curious on this.
Yeah, I am too.
That sounds very interesting, though.
That is actually, I think you might have missed our discussion on the radishes at the beginning, but that would be another reason for us to try radishes again, because I agree. And they're nice too, because they're kind of like the broccoli. They'll go to seed in that first year and you don't have to wait for them.
Oh, and clover he's saying, yeah.
Well, I know kale, you can sprout kale seeds too, I believe, because we grow the red Russian kale. And if our red Russian kale that we overwintered looks like a lot of it survived, just looks rough, but it's starting to bounce back. So we're fingers crossed, we're hoping for a really good harvest of red Russian kale seeds. So we're going to hopefully have a lot of monster plants.
That and apparently cabbage seeds.
Well, the cabbage, we may just use cabbage. We'll see. I don't know if it's going to get that far, but.
Yeah, so if anybody in here knows, if cabbage overwinters, will it grow ahead of cabbage or is it just going to go to seed now? We're curious on this because this is just a total fluke. It wasn't supposed to happen this way, but our cabbage did survive the winter.
But it was really small, so
it was small, like the little rosette. What do you call it? The little head, like it looks more like a rosette right now because it's only about that size. And anyways, they're now starting to grow out there again. So I'm curious as to whether it will actually do anything.
It'll do
before
something.
I pull them all, or
it'll grow into something
because they're taking up 4 by 8 feet of my raised bed right now.
Oh, sorry, I'm skipping ahead a bit here. Doing it before the seeds grow. It probably would taste pretty good because it's kind of just another cooked flour. And
wow,
that would be an interesting thing to try. We've got plans for we're going to grow
the
Russian mammoth sunflowers this year. We've grown them in the past. We've never put a lot of effort into it.
We always let the birds eat them.
Well, we've never put a lot of effort into it. But this year we're actually going to try to. Birds can eat some, but we're going to try to get enough of them going that we actually can harvest some. But that was
in the sunflower. Interesting.
That would be interesting to try.
So, and I see Mackenzie there has collard greens made it.
That's something we've never tried, but then the only reason I guess we haven't is because we grow so many other.
What are we trying? We're trying the mustards and stuff this year.
Yes,
but
the what's the red mustard we got from Miles? I'm really excited about that one. Actually, we might have got that from Wild Edibles as well.
I think we did. We got some sort of.
We're trying to go back and sort through all of our seeds. But
we have it all kind of organized, and we need to do a big map out of the garden and figure out what we're doing with everything. Yes, seed. It's a biennial plant. Okay, so the cabbage will end up being seed, not.
That's right. That's what I thought. Which,
I don't know if I'd let it stay in then and take up all the beds. But
well, we can leave it in for now.
it might grow enough to be some rabbit food or something. But
yeah, if it so it could. I have a feeling they could do both. Some of the bigger ones will probably go to seed. Some of them were really small.
yeah,
They didn't die, but I'd be surprised if they go to seed. It'll be a feeble attempt.
yeah.
Probably wouldn't really want to save from them, but
Well,
not the plant's fault. Just
we're not 100% sold that we're going to stick with growing cabbage really anyways, because we were going to try the kohlrabi as sauerkraut, because that's about all I grow cabbage for is sauerkraut.
well, even maybe the broccoli. I don't see why you couldn't. It would just be a little different. You'd probably need more of it because in a cabbage head you're getting a lot. Like one cabbage head will give you a lot of sauerkraut,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But if you were if your end goal was just sauerkraut, you probably would only grow cabbage. But I think you can probably make it out of the other stuff.
Mhm.
But yeah, the red one. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
looking forward to that one.
Collards, not growing them because so many greens off of the top. Yeah. Okay. I don't think we've never really tried growing them, but
No,
we always are trying different stuff too, because with the rabbits, we always have said the rabbits is the one thing, chickens maybe, but the one livestock that we could actually sustainably grow or like we could actually grow everything they would consume if we weren't trying to feed everything else.
you'd still have to grow a lot / harvest a lot,
Yeah.
but you could do it. You could keep a.
I fermented sauerkraut this year for the first time. I took the plunge into fermenting. Oh my gosh, I'm addicted now.
Yes.
I made sauerkraut for the first time, and I also made it as a flavor seasoned flavor.
What's the flavor in it? It was.
It
really
had
good.
cumin and peppercorns and fennel and something else in it.
It was really. It's. Well, do we still have some, or we don't?
No, we still have some. It's really good on lamb burgers.
And it's amazing the fermented stuff. Like you're not canning it, but once it goes through its fermentation process, and you put it in the fridge, it keeps for a long time.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is pretty awesome.
We did look it up. It's called Wild Fermented Salsa. I found it online. Amazing recipe. The tomatoes, you just chop them up. You don't deskin them, deseed them, nothing. It tasted amazing. Again, it's got cumin and a whole bunch of other good stuff in it.
Have a good night, CJM Farms. Thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you very much. And it was amazing. And it kept for a long time. I made it in big 2-liter jars because it was so good.
Well, and the other one is the fermented, which you did a video on that, the fermented turnip.
Turnips.
Yes, that's amazing. That right there would, in my opinion,
we're growing more turnips this year just for that purpose, to do the fermented pickled turnips because they're amazing.
They're amazing.
They have a name. What are they called? If you go to a shawarma place, they're the pink little turnips that you get to go in your shawarma.
But you did them canned the first time. And when you did them canned and we had
Thanks for coming, Chris.
They were
good to see
really
you.
good. But then when you did them fermented, the canned ones are nowhere near as good.
She's making Firecracker fermented carrots.
Where's that one?
Mackenzie up at the top. Now that sounds interesting.
Does sound interesting. Actually, I've never thought fermented beans. Is that fermented like green beans?
I'm betting so, yeah.
That would be pretty cool. We should try that.
Anyways, I bought the Lee Valley fermenting tops. Chris got them for me. The weights and the little, extract. They let the air out, the gases out or whatever. Anyways, got 3 of them, and definitely getting more because that's
ferment a lot of stuff.
Unfortunately, I think pretty much everything has to go in a fridge after you're done. I haven't found anything die hard on that.
Or can it?
Saying that, our basement in the winter is 4 or 5 degrees. As we learned with the grow room, you will freeze plants. So we probably would be fine to not put stuff in the fridge in the winter months. But I do think I would probably have to monitor how much I actually produced.
No, we're just going to eventually invest in
A walk-in fridge would be nice. Yes,
that's the plan. We've even kind of mapped out where we might put it in the basement, but not a short-term goal, but a long-term plan.
Promote the fermenting. Yes, we should next year when the harvest we'll do a fermenting challenge. Well,
that's not a bad idea.
Everybody else does these challenges. I mean, Thor's doing his onesie challenge, and we'll do a fermenting challenge. Don't let me forget about that. So we have the Canadian seed challenge, and now we're going to do some type of fermenting one. That's not going to just be Canadian, but we need to do a fermenting one.
Yeah, I thought that you might be able to do some.
So she has a video on that. I need to write that down.
Oh, we'll check that out.
Yes.
Getting out the handy dandy piece of paper. The best way to keep track of stuff. Yeah, that's actually something. Our basement is pretty close to a root cellar, but we do have to do some work on that. But yeah, if you had one and now you don't, I would totally understand missing it.
Mm-hmm.
Good night, Freehandly Maid.
Yes, thank you very much for popping in.
Thank you, everybody, for popping in. We're probably going to. It's 10 o'clock. We may.
We'll wrap it up here shortly, probably.
But it's.
Yes, on the fermenting. Good.
What are you super gluing? I missed something.
Super glued, huh? Paper all the way.
I missed something.
Oh, the paper. This is from the writing down. Me and you. Yes, you guys were that last night. Not to have a notepad, because we honestly, in our lives, we learn so much, and it's great. I love watching videos, but we usually take information we've got from our lives, and you go back and you find those videos from people and things like that to catch up on the parts. Because the one thing we are learning is once you get into this community and you're following so many people, it is just. I'm not saying in a bad way exhausting, but trying to watch everything that you want to watch is just not doable. And so sometimes it's great to have people give you the reminder of something that, you're like, I want to do that. And talking one-on-one with someone makes it stick. I say one-on-one. We're not one-on-one. We're kind of like in a bar atmosphere, but minus a drink. I'll have some water.
Yeah. Sorry if we're keeping you guys from eating. Feel kind of bad, but at the same time, I guess you're enjoying it, so that's good.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's hard because I'll see something and go, that's an awesome idea. And it's the wrong time of year to do it. And then you get to the right time of year and forget about it.
Yeah.
But
hi, Joe and Sue. Thank you for popping in on your way. That's awesome. Guys. Welcome to YouTube. Homestead Aquarius says yes.
Pretty much.
Oh,
yes.
It is. I have to admire, because we go around and we start watching. I'm like, Homestead Aquarius says, watch that one. Homestead Aquarius says, watch that one. I'm like, how have you gotten into them all? Oh, that's good though.
So there's. We'll have to check out the worm bed video that Tiffany makes.
Yeah.
Because we've got our little indoor worm composting thing. I'm actually quite impressed with it, because we basically just do it. It's kind of kitchen scraps. Most of it is stuff we wouldn't feed to the chickens and that sort of thing. Like, well, we do put eggshells in it, although we can compost those. I don't know. It's mostly some kitchen type stuff, and they do pretty well for what we've got them for. They're just in the house. They're actually technically in our bedroom, because it's the best for them.
Well,
they never escape. They never escape. There's no smell. You wouldn't even know they're there, except for the fact that there's these worm towers. Amy. Hello.
I'm going to Deborah's one there. I never ever thought of that. That's a smart idea. You could, in the wintertime, that area. No, but I was thinking that area of the basement there. You just open the window a bit.
Yeah.
It would work great.
That could work, actually.
We're on. Maybe this will be our redneck walk-in fridge. Wintertime, open the window to the basement.
But realistically, think about it. Like, they used to keep stuff in the woodshed, right?
Yeah. Well, we used to just keep it in a cooler outside.
Yeah,
For
but
a
it's like
freezer.
the traditional thing in Canada was like the beef. You
Yeah.
butchered it in the fall and then hung it in the woodshed, and then
Yeah.
when spring came, you madly canned
Yeah. Yeah.
whatever was left.
Whatever was left, you just got it put into a can before,
Yeah.
or
I think
junkied
even-
it. Hey, Gypsy and Vanilla Goat. I was reading your comments. Sorry, Vanilla Gorilla, not Vanilla Goat. That came out totally wrong.
No, our last little lamb got it. Well, I said lamb. He's a lamb because he's under a year, but he wasn't a lamb.
Yeah.
But
We just collected a few dozen worms tonight.
oh, very nice. Yeah, definitely curious on that. The ones we have are like the red wigglers because they don't mind being in the house. But I'm thinking about, because I've done 2 or 3 videos on them. I've got 2 or 3 older videos on what we did. It's just they're just 5-gallon buckets and they stack up, and then you just put the food in the bottom.
What are you, 3 tiers now?
3 tiers. I think I'm gonna leave it at the 3 tiers, but I might start a 3rd one. But then we kind of talk about it because we have the other animals and everything. We generate stuff that's compostable, but a lot of it's also feedable.
Yeah, between pigs and chickens, there's very little. The worms, eggshells, coffee grinds, tea bags, often the lettuce and things like that thrown in there because they'll make better use of it.
Some of the wilted
Hey,
pieces
Cindy,
of
no
things.
worries.
But
14 days is a long time.
that is a long time.
Sorry, I skipped ahead. But yes, so excited about getting chickens. What kind of chickens are you getting?
Partridge chanticleers? You're in Canada.
Yeah, Canadian chickens?
Or at least white chanticleers.
Yes, I do apologize for saying vanilla goat, but it was kind of funny.
That's when you're reading and the
you're trying
words
to get,
are so close.
Well, and we're sitting far, because there's 2 of us in the picture. We sit so far back from it. I have terrible eyesight. I think
I'm the one with the good eyes.
I'm in denial that I need glasses, but I think I do. I notice it a lot now that we're on YouTube a lot reading.
They'll still probably do pretty well because I imagine the ones you're finding are probably.
The other night when you went out.
I went out the other night because I had to shut the chickens because they were out and they didn't want to go when we did everything, so we came in and ate dinner or whatever. And I'm walking through the garden, and it was the first night that the ground was fairly thawed, and there was big worms, and they were everywhere, and you can see them quite well with the headlamp, and I'd walk along and they'd all go back, and it was just like the whole garden was covered with them.
And you said they were those really big ones.
They were the big ones that take the stuff really far down. So that was pretty cool, actually.
So he then came in and said, maybe we should do a no-till garden.
Well,
or some version of it.
We were talking about that with things. I think some things are. Everything has its pros and its cons. I think a reducing till is probably the best compromise for us, because if nothing else, some annual crops there's different trains of thoughts on it. I think some annual crops probably still do better when you do till it because you're causing the disturbance that they like.
Yeah.
But you can work that into a rotation where you don't till every single year. So
yes. I basically said, if the tiller doesn't start, we'll do a no-till.
Not quite.
Last year, the tiller did not want to start, and we'll see if it wants to start this year. Yeah, not too little, ready to go outside. That's a smart idea. We've done the birds in the house before, and it's not nice.
Well, that's actually one thing that we really like about the partridge chanticleers that raise, any breed that will raise their own young. And even when I had turkeys, it was the same thing, because people always talk about meat turkeys and how fragile they are. Not if the hen looks after them. If the hen looks after them, they're bulletproof. Like, it doesn't matter. I had turkeys born in like freezing rain, and the hens with them, they figured it out. They were bulletproof, and the chicks are the same way. If they're with the hen, I think, my friend Miles has the one picture of the hen who had her chick. If she's partridge chanticleer, she had the chicks, and there's like an inch of snow on the ground, and she's got them out walking around. But then she's looking after them, doing all that brooding work, and I think it makes a big difference. Yes. Without going into
we won't go into any more detail on that, but yes.
Yes.
and a really good compost pile.
Oh, that's pretty cool. But see, that's a great example, right? Because this is like the problem. Like when you're gardening, problem slash it's just what you're doing. When you're gardening, you are actually in a lot of cases for certain types of vegetables, you are breaking it back to that. Like an annual doesn't necessarily persist well in a really mature. I know that's a real blanket statement, and there are examples of annuals that do. But a lot of the common vegetables that we grow, they need that disturbance, and I bet you your garden is going to be awesome, because if it was a garden before and you're rejuvenating it, you'll probably find it does amazing, and it'll do even better next year since you've got it going again.
Well, no, he says he tills it about 50 times a year.
Oh, I read that completely wrong. Okay, we're talking about eyesight.
We're having trouble reading the Gypsy of the Gorilla today, are we?
Well, because I knew that their place had been, and they were kind of getting stuff back. So I thought it was that they tilled the area and it hadn't been tilled in 50 years.
Well, that would need a tiller too.
Oh, that's too funny.
It's all right. Regulars, yeah.
The big ones well, it depends on your bed. The real big ones may not do well in an indoor bed. But I mean, you can always try it. They just may not reproduce.
Mm-hmm. Crazy family's been forking some of the areas. Yeah,
that's the same thing.
We
right?
bought one of those, the claw ones.
Yeah, my claw
this year.
My garden claw.
Chris has been for years wanting the claw, and by the time we go to get it somewhere, it's always gone.
I think I got.
So he got so he got a good one for that. I can get turkeys too, no, but not sure. Yeah, turkeys is one thing we said we are not doing.
Basically, because they are very, very hard to keep where you want them unless you completely pen them in.
Yeah.
At least, well, the
ones that we
the white broad-breasted ones, not so much. But then they obviously won't look after their young and all that sort of thing. But any of the heritage turkeys, they're amazing, but they fly, and clipping wings on a hen doesn't really do much because they can still clear a 4-foot fence.
We got our worms on Kijiji, didn't we? We just looked it up on Kijiji. Yeah. Somebody local was selling them for $20 for a bag of worms. That's how we started, and we split them between 2 bins. And they've
definitely multiplied well.
Yeah.
Well, definitely, we will have to watch that. The history stuff's always interesting on a property, especially when you know it. But
oh yeah.
Yep, I did know that some U.S. states produce rice because that's a contributing factor.
What's the rice that you talked about growing?
I don't remember, but there's quite a few.
There's a kind that didn't.
We can grow rice here, but it has to be specific types. Mm-hmm. And then there's obviously the wild rice, which isn't the same species, but that's another whole thing. Yeah, choosing battles is definitely. Yeah, but that's good. That's good layering too for different things.
Yeah, we have a mint problem here.
You can never have a mint problem.
Oh, the people that were here before, the spearmint is everywhere. And it's not, I'm not talking like, I'm saying that 20 years of spreading mint. I mean, we're never going to win the battle. We just feed it to rabbits and everything and kind of work around it in the gardens. It's kind of like the wild parsnip. We're not going to win the battle, so we just eat it instead.
Yep. Well, if you eat it eventually.
Yes, I plan to do a video on that because a lot of people are very scared of the wild parsnip, and it is tastier than the parsnip that you grow.
There's good reasons to be scared of it, but at the same time, it is edible. So it's the exact same species as domestic parsnip. So to put it in perspective, I don't know. I'm probably getting the wrong name. We'll do a video at some point and show the claw. I mean, it's not a. It doesn't
a paint roller.
It doesn't roll. You like put it in and you twist. I don't know. It's really. I'm looking forward to it for like the raised beds and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Calves are fun. We've never actually raised them. I've been around younger ones. I mean, well, ours are technically they're heifers now, but they technically were calves when we got them. But they were big calves. But
good to know on the turkeys.
Yeah, it's just if you don't have neighbors or whatever that they're going to annoy.
Hey, Caitlin's Family Farmstead.
Then it's not too bad, but.
Glad to see you here. Oh, and hi, Jane, as well. You have red wigglers. If anyone's close to the GTA.
Yeah, GTA is the Greater Toronto Area.
Yes.
It's a Ontario thing.
Well, yeah, we had the half an hour away. Somebody was selling them, so we were just like, "Yep, we're gonna do it." And you didn't get very many in the bag for $20, but it was enough to get them started. So,
well, it was just a side project. Sometimes those are the best, so you can start it and then.
The one thing I'm learning at this place, this homestead, our old homestead or our old place, there weren't really weeds because it was small enough it didn't get out of control. But at this place, after the people who had it before us were probably 15, 20 years of doing nothing with it, I am now learning to forage. We've tried. Nothing. I mean, I'd never eaten weeds before because it didn't have any.
Well, but that's a good point. Not it, say weeds, but they're not really. Well, yes. Weeds. Because if you really want to get technical about it, a tomato, for example, how tenacious they are.
Well, this is like
pretty much meets the definition of what weed is.
Well, this is like the dandelion thing because every year we're out spreading the dandelion seeds because we want more dandelions, and then you get others that are like they're weeds. Get rid of them.
We have the problem here because we do graze the sheep on the lawn. I don't know if it's much of a lawn.
There are lawnmowers.
Between the cooney pigs and the sheep and the horses, and there is no dandelions.
Yeah.
So we're always propagating them because it's like, oh, it came up, knock it around and get some seed spread because we like them.
Yeah.
For a bunch of reasons, like dandelion jelly.
Dandelion jelly. Going to do a video on that for sure. That's one of those wonderful, wonderful things to make, but it's very time consuming and you need a lot of dandelions.
Cover crops are an interesting thing that you bring that up because they are great, but at the same time, kind of going back to it's like the sprouting conversation. When you have to buy the cover crop seeds year after year after year after year, it's not that sustainable. But if you can use a cover crop and not have to do that, whether you can collect your own seed or whether you kind of use it as a perennial cover crop, that's totally different.
Yes.
In my mind, at least on a small scale. Yeah,
we're putting mint
containers is a good idea unless you want it.
Unless you want it to go. We did plant some in the food forest. I planted chocolate mint in the food forest, and we planted the peppermint because I would love to have lots of those ones because I love those for tea. At our old place we had lots of it, and I saved it and dried it out for tea, and I still have a little bit left, but I would like to replenish those stocks. So I'm really hoping that they did okay, and we did go check on them, and a few of them did make it through the winter. So we'll see.
I'm pretty sure they made it through the winter. Yes. They'll take off. That's actually something we have to get because at our old place we had a lot of lemon balm.
Oh yes, lemon
balm.
We
dug some up to bring with us, and it didn't survive the trip, so we actually have to get some.
It died in its pots. So, but we did move November 1st. It was a hard time to bring things with us.
We lost a couple of things that we brought with us, but all in all, not too bad.
Almost all my Wendy strawberries, but I did check on what did I have? I had one that survived that became 5 last year. And this year they're all really, really healthy in there. And there's lots of little sucker ones. So I think I'll end up replenishing my things. So that's pretty good.
Mint and cherry tomatoes, the mint. I almost guarantee you it would win in the long term. The cherry tomato, that plant you planted would get bigger, but I think even the cherry tomatoes would have a hard time coming up amongst the mint because the mint is going to be up earlier in the spring. That's just my opinion. But again, not a bad problem to have.
No.
Yeah.
Cindy, you should make a video on that. I did not know that you could do that. That would be awesome.
Yeah, lemon balm does repel stuff, doesn't it?
I think so.
Yeah. We didn't find it was at our old place because we had a lot of it in certain parts of the yard, and it didn't really seem to repel much. Like it was kind of one of those things. If after you work on things for a few years, and I don't know as much about what species they were as I should have because I wasn't paying enough attention, but it's like some of the native bumblebees and stuff, like just as an example, or some of the other pollinators, the native ones. Like we ended up with a lot of that stuff around the yard, but then it was kind of, we were in a rural area, but not everybody was farming quite the way that, it would have promoted them. So we kind of ended up with a little bit of a sink where they were all coming. But we're starting to get that. We noticed that here too, actually.
Yes. We have, what do you call sunchokes? You don't call them sunchokes.
I also call
Jerusalem artichokes.
artichoke.
Yes, we have a bunch.
I have two
plants.
I have two varieties that I got last fall, and I've got them kind of in holding right now. So maybe this weekend we'll plant them.
If we
The
can
one
get in.
variety is a white one, and the other one's a red one. And the red one, I'm gonna definitely just try to propagate it, which I don't think will take very long. And the white one, I'm hoping to plant because I got enough of that to make a pretty good patch.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
we'll,
your other ones, there was only, what, 5 or so?
there's only three.
Three.
Of them, but I think I can still make a pretty good go of it with 3.
Yeah.
But
Planting the mint is repellent for the critters.
I don't know if it would work on squirrels. Squirrels are pretty tenacious. Maybe. I'm trying to think. They don't really go into the garden space, but that's because there's nothing.
Well,
in
we
there
don't
to
have. We are
attract them.
surrounded by nut trees, so they have plenty. They don't.
Yeah, that's the one thing we want to try
Between
to.
the spruce and the hickory nut trees, and the oak trees, we don't.
We keep talking about. We'd like to harvest some hickory nuts this year, depending on how they do, but we don't know if we'll be able to get any.
Yeah.
They're the squirrels get there so
Oh,
quick.
he's asking red rover, fuchsia.
I will double check.
I thought you
don't
said it was
know. Miles didn't. I can't remember if he told me. I can't remember what they're off the top of my head, but my friend that I got them from might remember. So I'll have to double check.
Mhm.
They're both like, because some of them form different shapes. Usually, these are both quite round. The white variety is quite a round one, and the other one is too. So I just don't remember what they were called, but I can figure that out or try to figure that out. It's like our sweet potatoes. We're pretty sure they're our Beauregard.
Yeah.
But we kind of lost that information over time.
Yes, but that's what we're pretty sure. We need to get that information and write it down.
I used to have a spreadsheet of everything. I want to do that again. That's probably a
That's no good, Gypsy.
37. What's 37 degrees? That's pretty
Well,
cold.
32 is freezing, so,
yeah, so it's pretty cold.
I only know that from a country and western song or something. It's 32 degrees is freezing cold. That's I just remember that.
Yeah, so there's different shapes that some of them come in. That'd be one of those underrated plants too, that I'm sure there's lots of different varieties and whatnot that people have developed that have just been forgotten because very few people seem to plant it much anymore.
Yeah.
And you do see it when you go around, at least in our area, driving around to the older farms, you'll see the patches of it, and oftentimes people are just like, oh, I don't want that big patch of ugly looking plant. It's like, but it's edible and you have a massive patch of it. Why would you want to get rid of it?
Oh, I know, we see that all the time.
Yeah.
I'm going back up to Caitlin's for a second, but you overwintered your stevia. I'm curious on how we overwintered ours.
Well, we
didn't actually. We cut it and started new sprouts.
We cloned it and brought it in, and we've got a bunch of clones.
And then we've now cloned those again because they got so growing to the point that they wanted to go to seed, but didn't really produce much because we didn't look after them super great. So now we have a whole bunch more.
Good lights, and they're doing way better.
Clones started to go outside come summer, but
good night, Deborah.
Yes, thank you for coming in, Deborah.
I was going to say cabbage should be fine at that temperature, though. But yeah, it's doing fine. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, the cabbage, because I was going to say ours is.
Yeah, cabbage is pretty cold or cold hardy, but yeah. Sorry, what were you saying?
Oh, no, we were talking about the stevia.
Oh yeah, because we.
Because that's kind of a thing. We use a lot of stevia
in our teas and stuff.
So we were buying it every year. And so last year we tried bringing the plants actually in, and it didn't do well.
No, it didn't do well as a normal house plant in the window. So
yeah.
This year we brought them in. We brought clones in, let the main plants die outside. Well, we harvested quite a bit, but brought clones in. Kept the clones growing under grow lights. Of course, we weren't set up as well as we are now. And yeah, like you say, we've cloned those clones. So it's worked really well. It hasn't been that big of a deal.
Yeah.
Not all the clones take, but it's kind of.
So we ended up, I think now we're going into we've got 10 stevia plants for going outside, I think.
I think you'll end up with more than that. Probably. Before they actually can go outside.
Yeah. So we've just kind of been propagating them that way with the clones. But I'm curious if you were able to bring yours in, although you said your dog ate them, but I'm curious as to how they were doing prior to that.
Yeah. Well, and how long they were in for, because ours have to come in. Like if we were to bring the plant in without the greenhouse that we now have, we'd have to bring it in probably middle of October.
Yeah,
And-
well, because it
and it
did
wouldn't
get
be able to go
frosted
back
last
out.
year, but it didn't die like
Hello,
right
doing
back.
things different.
So she says, mine was in a pot. I had it by my window on the floor. Has in-floor heat. Okay.
Oh, I should have liked that then.
Yeah. Ours, it just seemed like when we brought them in, they just went spindly, then went to go to seed.
And we couldn't
And
really
that
get
was,
them to...
there was no way to get them back under control. So that's why we've opted to try the cuttings this year. And it's so far, fingers crossed, is working
pretty well.
to be ready to take them outside.
Well, and we'll be able to take them into the greenhouse too first, which will be nice too.
Yeah.
Hello, the Tin Can Gardener.
Sure, entered her hot peppers. Can't wait to see how they do. I'm very curious on that. Now that we have the grow room downstairs and the greenhouse, I want to try and overwinter some peppers to see, because so many people do it. So I'm very curious on how the benefits of all that work, because it'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, might as well, right?
Nice,
It'd be nice
neat
to keep
experiment.
some
And if
stuff
you've
going.
got the space to keep it going, then why not? I need to propagate.
We don't use any hormone. We
Nothing.
literally just
Stick them in dirt.
cut it off, stick it in dirt.
It's got a bit of the worm castings in it, but that's it.
Yeah, or like stick them in the soil in the pot. You keep it.
The one thing we don't do it in a dish of water.
They don't seem to do super well.
They always seem to rot. We just go straight into dirt, and we've just been doing enough that
you've
got about a 50 to 60% success rate.
But if the plant starts to get leggy, you can kind of really cut it back, and
yeah, that's what we've done. Yeah.
What was I going to say? Oh, the big thing is to keep soil moist, but not like saturated, because you don't want it too dry, and you don't want it too wet.
Yeah,
it's kind of it seems to be the big thing. But yeah,
well, it is too bad that the dog ate it. I'm surprised at that. Our cats don't touch the stevia.
No, oddly enough, they eat a lot of other plants, but they don't eat the stevia. No. That's weird.
They really like sweet potatoes.
Yes, they
so
do.
We've had to deal with that.
We've had to hang them all from the ceiling. Good night, Amy. Thank you for stopping in.
Yeah, I think definitely do the experiment on the over. Yeah, I think it's worth it. I mean, what's the worst that can happen?
You can end up with a lot of tasty peppers.
Yeah.
That would be the no, I guess the worst would be that would die. The best, you'd end up with a bunch of tasty peppers.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming in, Minnie U Acres. Definitely have a good night.
Not Minnie, me and you. Oh my goodness.
I can't read. It's entertaining if nothing else.
Oh yes. Yeah.
Oh, that's too funny.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know. What else do we... this weekend, we've got big plans because we've got a bunch of stuff we want to get done.
Well, and it's a long weekend.
It's being a long weekend. Yeah, that'll be nice. And I think we're supposed to have okay weather. So hopefully we can get a few projects done and a few things going.
Well, the greenhouse finished is a big one.
That won't take very long.
And we've got to get some animal things set up.
Yep.
Breeding pens for geese and chickens.
Yep.
And
then after that, we might do a little bit of harvesting wood, cleaning up.
We had horrible. Was that yesterday or the day before? Day before, crazy winds at night. And we had a big maple tree go down back by the pastures, and it's just kind of the kick in the butt to be like, you know what, we should really, because another one had gone down before we even bought this place. So there's a lot of wood lying back there that I said, well, we should just go and clean it up.
It's Manitoba maple, but
it'll still burn.
Burnable.
And it gets it out of there. So
thank you, doing things different.
Thank you.
We had plans for that greenhouse, oh boy, for years. Like I think it's the first video we talked about the we did on it. We talked about the two big patio door windows, and yeah, I carted them around for years because I'm like, I'm going to build a greenhouse out of them.
Yeah.
And so now we've finally done it.
Yeah, the big 4 foot by 7 foot windows went from your old place. Well, you got them to your old place, and they went to our place that we shared, and then they went to here. And
yep,
we contemplated getting rid of them, and then
I got them for free too. Actually, all the, well, we think we did.
The only ones we bought
were the sliding
windows. Because we wanted to be able to open them and have screens.
Yep.
So we bought those used. We bought them on Kijiji. They were $50 each. But otherwise, all the windows, I mean, our new neighbor who moved in right next door had the 3 foot by 6 foot windows that he was going to get rid of. And we gave them, we'll get them out of your way if you'd like. And they work perfect.
He was pretty impressed because we basically walked over, brought them up. And then that weekend,
I think it was the first day he was there. I was like, you don't happen to want to get rid of those windows, do you? But yes.
Yeah,
I'm so excited to see that full of plants. I really am. The roof was a hefty investment, but we wanted to do it properly because we get a lot of ice here and sometimes heavy snow. And that it did really well this year. So I'm thinking it's going to be really sweet to have it. So we might even build another one at another time that we might figure out some sort of heating.
Eventually, I think.
Method.
But we actually don't, outside of our single seed challenge tomato, we don't have any tomatoes started, but we don't usually start them until a little later.
Yeah.
Because we find they get a little too leggy too quick and don't take the
we usually start them
for us
in the beginning of April. So probably next week. We started our broccoli and stuff like that this week.
We've got some more stuff to do this weekend.
We've got cauliflower and tomatoes will be starting probably either this week or next week.
I would think next week at the earliest. If the
cauliflower,
because the tomatoes can't really go. They can go in the greenhouse, but they can't really go outside until the end of May. For us, like last week of May is kind of still potentially hit and miss.
Yeah, so we usually don't go more than the 6 weeks ahead of last frost on the tomatoes, basically.
And they usually still produce amazing because they grow like crazy.
Yeah, if that's what you're asking about, how big our existing ones are, or if you're meaning actual size of the fruit of the tomatoes we grow, then that's a different topic.
Yeah. That's awesome that you're getting some garden fence up. That's something we have to do too because we have to keep chickens out of the grazed beds.
Yes.
So
fencing seems to be an ongoing.
It'll never end.
Yeah.
If you've got animals, fencing will never end. That's okay. The bulk of it will be over. But we are zone 5B, but it's
almost 6, right?
Yeah, we're kind of like on that line. Almost, because there's a little microclimate.
And our property almost seems like it's 2 different zones because when you go back to the pasture area, which I'm going to say again, I really want a drone so that we can show everybody this because it's really hard. Our property is narrow but super duper long. Like we are,
and that's
680 feet.
That's
by
5
2,800 feet.
And that's 5B Canadian, which is a little different than the U.S. zones.
Yeah, because I think we would be a little bit colder than what 5B would be in U.S.
I think so. I really need to just figure it out so that I know which comparable. It's not too far off, but they're not identical. It's weird.
Mm-hmm.
Or last I checked, they weren't identical.
No, there's something. They go because 5 in the U.S. is blue on the map, the 2 shades of blue, and it goes kind of just under us.
Below us.
Yeah, and we turn to a different. So I'm not sure what we would be as their zoning, but
maybe 4 or something.
Either way, it's not too shabby.
No, not bad at all.
Yeah.
But by Canadian standards, we're pretty warm.
Yeah. We moved actually when we moved last year. We moved up a growing zone because we were colder where we were. So it's kind of, we've noticed a big difference.
What did we move? 45 minutes away from where we were and moved up a zone?
Yeah.
Not bad.
So what is your zone question? So Mackenzie is a 5B, 6A. Okay. Really? You guys are a 3 or a 4? I wouldn't have thought that. I guess you're higher than us. You're a lot higher.
Sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Hello, Bushcraft family.
Hey there. And Cindy, I don't know. I mean, I'm not, but I don't know how you manage. But I guess you just adapt to growing different things too, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I'm from, I don't even know what my parents are in Manitoba,
We
but
looked
we
it
used to
up.
grow a lot. So, you know, on a few things, I know
You just kind of get
corn
used
grew
to
well.
it. Well, yeah, you get kind of used to things.
Yeah, you just get different.
But eventually you do get to that point too, where when you get too warm, you have the middle of the summer that's harder
Kills
to work
everything,
with
yeah.
too, right?
Yeah, well, we still even find that here, but we're learning what seeds need to be planted where there's going to need to be shade.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes, like
we're going to be better at that this year.
Our Kajari melons. That's the big one.
Yes, the Kajari melons last year we planted them. We did not realize, we didn't read the packet very well. We just planted them like we would watermelon or anything else. And they did well, but if you don't give them the shade, they ripen before they're actually ready.
Well, the plant didn't really like the really hot sun and heat in the middle of summer.
Dude, I'm a winter whiner and nowhere near as cold. And bushcraft's a 6B. Yeah. So we've got quite a mix of different zones here. Worcestershire 6A, 7.
Oh, that'll work to cover the tomatoes. We have too many.
Well, you see, but your last frost in a 6B has to be what? You're at least a week ahead of us. Because see, we're May long weekend is our last frost date.
And occasionally we have gotten frost the first week of June.
Of June, like we just covered, like you say. Mm-hmm. Yeah, see, because Caitlin's in Ontario. So yeah, 5B. So you're same as us then.
Yeah.
But yeah, we didn't realize, and especially now, the summers seem to get so hot and so dry, but they were ripening faster than they could grow. Like they wouldn't grow. They would be like this small, and then the next day they would just be boom and split, and you missed it.
Yeah, I think the plant.
They still tasted good, but it was just it happened so fast they didn't do well. So we're going to try them.
The plants were too stressed, right? You couldn't water them enough.
But it does say on the packet to plant them in partial shade, which we didn't read.
We're going to do this year.
So now we know.
We need to read.
Who follows instructions?
That's too
we got to learn from our mistakes. Right? Now we will never forget that the Kajari melons need to.
That actually is a really good point, right? Because sometimes you do stuff and then you didn't research it or whatever. And then, like you said, you are right. Then it really sticks with you. It's like, if I had just done X and then you don't forget it later.
Yeah.
It's like ingrained in your head.
Exactly, it is. So,
yeah. Anyways, I think on that note, it's getting late. It's 10:42.
Yes, we've been reading is overrated. Yeah, exactly.
We usually do a lot of reading.
Actually, you know what Chris's theory is? Okay, we buy seeds. Chris likes them all. You must have like a mild OCD. Do you think?
Maybe.
Anyways, he likes things to be organized in his jars, and the first thing he does is he empties all the seeds from the packets into the jars, and then he just rips one of the labels off the packet saying what it is. He doesn't keep any instructions or anything like that. So then all you've got is a jar with what's on it, and you have none of the instructions. So it makes it even harder because you can't read. You got to go Google it in order to know what you're doing.
Oh, that's all right. A lot of the stuff we do know.
Yes. Pitch a Chick's last frost date is May 1st. That's nice. That's 3 weeks ahead of us. Mm-hmm. So it makes a big difference. And that's the same thing as we were saying to Jane, again, because she's Canada as well. And it makes a big difference she's a whole growing zone ahead of us. So I'm sure you're a week or maybe even more than that ahead of us for last frost date.
Well, I don't know. It's a little bit like I'm kind of glad. Like right now, winter's done. We're gonna get a little bit of. It's almost like you get fall-like conditions again for a while.
Yeah.
But we're hoping to. It's kind of nice. It's not going to come too quick because we still have a
lot to do.
But it's no different than the fall. It's like last fall when we were lucky. We were lucky. We got to keep working until beginning of December before winter came. and we were doing the sheep barn, and we were still digging fence holes with the tractor at the beginning of December.
Yep.
And then we basically got that job done, and
it was done.
That was
all.
it.
That
We
was the
weren't
last
doing-
project because
Yeah.
it froze.
Yep.
So that was kind of good for that. But
And spring's the same way. It kind of winter.
it's nice to have that. I don't mind having the winter/down season because it's nice to kind of settle and plan. And we've pushed ourselves this year trying new things like growing indoors and things like that, which has been kind of fun. So
Yeah, different things to try.
yes,
Yeah.
Caitlin, everybody's saying that. Now some people got really good runs for
But
a
it
few
was
of the days, but I mean, what did we have? A week, maybe 8 days, maybe.
Well, this is actually something. This will be my last tangent. then
Okay,
we're
your
going to
last
bed.
tangent, and then we're going to bed.
But this is something we were talking about in relation to, because we did the sugar beets last year. We're going to do it again, and we do have the sugar maples, and we're not tapping them this year because, well, it's over now. But we knew we weren't going to have enough time to do it and be organized to make it work. But that's kind of the nice part about having multiple options, right? Because you never know
If one thing doesn't work,
Yeah, exactly.
you've
right?
got
So
something
if
else
you-
to fall back
If
on.
you have a bad maple syrup harvest, then you've got something else to fall back on.
Yes.
If you have a great maple syrup harvest, then you kind of know too, oh, maybe I don't have to grow as many sugar beets or whatever. So there's
Mhm.
definitely value to having that variety.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It was good.
Oh yes, mosquitoes. That's the other downside too here, because once the mosquitoes come, especially June, they're bad for a while. Really bad, especially if you've got any water laying around. Although on the flip side, at least where we are, like when I was a kid, you always black flies. There was black flies like
yeah.
mad, and now
It's very short because it
It's-
gets dry and hot so fast.
Yep.
You've got no.
I'm pretty sure from people
the wet season that seemed to attract them is
is
disappearing.
gone. Well, it's like all of our winter runoff is basically done until you get into the really big bodies of water. But all the smaller tributaries, so there just isn't any black fly larvae, any habitat for them. I'm pretty sure I've talked to some people that are more knowledgeable in entomology than I am, and the species rosters for things like that have really changed. Really changed over time. But yeah. Anyways, I think we're going to leave it at that. Thank you, everybody, for coming in.
Putting up with us for like 2 hours. How'd you get your channel name? Oh boy, that's well, some of it sort of stems. We did touch on it a little bit in our video when we moved. Where we used to live, we were so impressed. We had shagbark hickory trees, and they were big, beautiful, just gorgeous trees.
Mostly along one fence line.
Along one fence line. And we decided to go with Hickorycroft as our farm name because we didn't have maple trees. We didn't, it just kind of stuck. And it just pure fluke that we moved to a place that has hundreds of shagbark hickory trees. That was not intentional. I chose this place purely for the weeping willow. But we did have a whole bunch of the shagbark hickory trees. So the name has stuck, Hickorycroft.
Mm-hmm.
And our plan is to harvest hickory nuts and
If
make
squirrels
hickory
don't get 'em.
syrup. But yeah, we did try last year and the squirrels have beat us to everything. But hey, if that keeps the squirrels from eating other things, I suppose that's okay.
Yeah, very true. Do you still have the sheet here with the?
Our weigh-in?
Yeah. Sorry, we did a little.
We did a little video at the beginning.
that we
Sorry.
inserted, but we have.
You have the sheet, don't you?
Do I? No. Oh, is it upstairs?
It was
It must be
41.02 pounds or something like that.
pretty close to that.
Something like that. It was just over 41 pounds. I don't know where the sheet is. I'd have to go upstairs and find it. I thought we brought it down though.
No, it's probably on the table from when you
Yeah,
did the stuff from today.
But we kind of said in here about what are we supposed to how are we supposed to report it, and others were saying you just do it at the end and you keep your tally the whole time. So that's what we were doing. We just kind of occasionally on our live are going to do a little bit of a, how the
Yeah.
week went for us.
Yep.
So
And kinda go from there.
we butchered one of our ram lambs this week. We butchered them on
Which is the bulk
Saturday.
of that weight.
no.
Yeah,
When did we
Saturday.
butcher? Saturday.
Saturday.
So that was we've done 5 in the month of March, but unfortunately the other ones didn't get to count for Shedwars.
Well,
But that's okay. It had to be
kind
done
of-
at the time it needed to be done.
That was
So
kind of our thing. We didn't hold on to them for it specifically.
So-
It was just kind of as things.
people are throwing eggs at each other right now.
Well, we have that in there too.
Oh, you'll have to watch. The kids did a really cute, well, especially Alex, a cute video for Friday on using our goose eggs.
Yep.
So the
this
kids have done a video for Friday for that, and they did their weigh-in of the goose eggs. So that was kind of cute.
for fun.
Yeah,
Yep.
but they're just as into the Shedwars as we are. So.
Oh,
But yeah, it was good. Otherwise, we've got kale that we've been harvesting all the time in the grow room,
mhm.
and eggs,
I
and
think
we harvest some shamrock, and we did weigh it.
5 grams worth.
Our
that's
edible houseplant.
That's on this because we did that on Monday, right?
Was that on? Oh,
yeah.
that was yesterday. Sorry,
That was
that's not on
yesterday's.
that one. But anyway,
Yeah.
it was kind of fun. But
Yeah. It is just that thing, fun to keep track of it all. But
yes.
anyways,
On that note,
we are
great
gonna-
comment,
we are gonna
Wickershire,
end.
and thank you everybody for coming in and putting up with us for over 2 hours. This is great, and we look forward to keeping track of everybody over the week and talking to you next week.
Yes, we'll be talking to everybody soon.
Mm-hmm. So
hopefully everybody has
happy
a good,
spring and plant starting,
yeah.
and yeah, let's all keep our fingers crossed that this nice weather stays and it's a nice early growing season. I'm not. It probably isn't going to be. I'm sure we're going to get snow. Something silly is going to happen. It's the way the world is now.
Usually,
But
that's all right.
yes.
All
So
right.
have a great night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.